Alright, I got a birdie. I got a birdie there.
Oh, you
Very
got
I
impressive.
am eating some chips.
Welcome back,
Well, I just
Marcel.
screwed
Would you
up
like
really
to tell
bad.
people why you're
Hey.
not participating
Go.
today?
Are you? Oh no.
Because this game
Because what?
decided to update and
Right.
my internet is horrible.
That is... I feel sorry for you, honestly.
My internet is awful.
Yes. Sawful, indeed.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding? I just
Ooh,
took
wow,
another shot
that
in
was
accident. You gotta be
close.
kidding me.
Ah!
I took a second shot there in accident.
Excellent.
No. Don't you dare.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
I just took another shot, what? I took 4 shots there instead of 2. I got a bogey somehow. Are you
Oh,
serious?
Strat.
Are you gotta be kidding me?
Come
You
on,
have
Strat.
to be kidding me. That's not cool. That should have been a 2 and I got a 4 somehow.
Location
Are you
is
It's okay,
kidding
I
me?
still
No.
beat Luke.
Someone hit me. Whoever they are, they're on my list.
I don't know what happened there.
Cerneus, that's Euxinator, isn't it?
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, it is.
Not doing great.
Yeah, no. The bird
No.
hole screwed my rhythm over.
Got the,
Oh,
got the
yeah,
rhythm screwed
blame
up there.
that.
Colonel Oates is pretty confused over the broken tubes that were going on. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Oh
I would
my
be too.
goodness, what is this hole?
Can
Right.
I get up? Can I get a brain freeze?
Can you what?
I just went off the course. Are you serious?
Strat. Only you could do that.
I'm not actually off the course technically.
Birdie. Come on. No.
Technically, I'm not.
Oh
off
wow,
the
I just
court.
screwed that off.
No, it
I
didn't.
just screwed that up so bad. Oh my god, no, I'm screwing this up!
Yes, yes.
We enjoy this.
Yes.
Alright,
We
Yeah.
enjoy
at
this.
least a 5.
Strat's gonna be
Keep
very
failing,
far
Strat.
behind now.
No, I got it. I got a 7 on this. Oh my god. Oh jeez, this is bad.
Getting worse.
Oh, this should have been like a 3 or a 4, and I just got screwed up real bad there.
Well, you're still not last to finish just yet.
Hey! Damn,
Kananga.
no. I
Dang
got
it.
7 strokes there. I got 4 over par. I'm humiliated by my performance there.
Oh,
That's
I'll
unacceptable.
tell you what, it's a close 1-2 there.
I'm embarrassed about how my performance is going. Oh.
I am a segment.
If anyone's got any questions,
Hole in
from
one, baby. That's what we're
Marcel
talking about. Do you
Polo.
see that, Nathan? You see that?
That's lucky,
I
dude.
saw
I'm telling you,
that.
that's
Nathan,
lucky.
you see that talent?
Did you
Okay,
see that?
tell
Did
me
you
the
see that?
question.
I saw it, Strat.
Yeah, that was
Evil.
very impressive. Like, let's be honest, that's pretty
This
cool.
game hates me.
It's so impressive,
Ridiculous.
Strat.
I know. Like, let's be serious. It was really, really impressive. Where are you?
Who's
Oh,
on-
this is why I hate this course. I hate
Oh,
platforms.
dude,
They
you
ruin
gotta
my-
you gotta go really quick through it. If you don't, you just get sucked into the center and pop down in a random direction. Otherwise,
I
you
am-
gotta go full power away from the center of like the range.
Who's
Otherwise,
on
you're
the
gonna
I
get.
Force 13 account right now? I'm guessing that's Timothy.
I do
I
not
am-
know.
I am the dude.
What?
Marcel has our account.
Marcel?
Jump in,
No,
jump back in,
no,
jump back in.
No.
I forgot about jumping.
Oh, dear.
Dude, you gotta go. Oh, you gotta go full power, and you have to go through the outer edge of that area. You can't go through
I
the
don't
center.
think
of
He
the
hates
area.
me. I'm telling you.
Oh no, back at the start.
I don't think
I am
Oxygenator's
not
winning.
the dude.
No, I'm
No,
not going to.
you
because
gotta
this
go.
game
You gotta go
hates me.
full power. You can't go like half power, otherwise you're gonna get sucked into the center.
Okay, Marcel,
You gotta go so fast that the game can't register
What?
that you're going through it.
do you have any questions for
See?
the viewers?
Okay, except you went back that way. Now you have 2 strokes. No, don't jump. You're gonna run out of time.
This ain't going so
Oh my god, he did it.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Marcel,
But I-
someone asked if
I
Marcel still
lost
wants
this
his
game.
180 miles per
I
hour.
want to have some questions.
Yes.
Marcel, do you still want your 180 mile per hour? Is what someone asked.
No.
No.
You don't want it.
Marcel, a question for the audience?
What are you doing in the
Are you
quarantine?
serious?
Oh,
No.
Who touched me?
That was me, and I ended up getting knocked off because of the result.
Yeah, that's your fault, man.
Oh, thanks to whoever just pushed me off.
Oh,
Luke,
dear.
Luke, that was at you again.
Yes.
Marcel,
This guy's in my
can
way. I
you
can't take
Uh-oh.
any
fly?
shot with him here.
I just got zipped out the hole. I can no.
Yes,
Oh, wait,
yes, give me
Marcel
out of here.
demonstrating telecry
Got
right
through.
there.
Hello and welcome to Force 13 Live, where we are going to talk about very dangerous, potentially catastrophic Hurricane Patricia coming very close to the western Mexican coastline, looking at a landfall very near Manzanillo. I am here, Devin Williams, and I am also here joined by Craig.
Hello?
Hello and welcome to Force 13 Oh God. Forgot to mute myself.
Oh dear.
Yeah, just forgot to mute myself. I should probably do that. Okay, so there's plenty to talk about. This is the latest visible imagery, and just to take a look at it, Craig, it does seem to be hooking maybe a little bit to the west there in the latest couple of imageries.
It does indeed, and there is
I don't
definitely
know.
no doubt that it has done that. It's now the next question. Well, that's the next real question.
Anyways, we're basically gonna be monitoring the absolute latest that we can find. I have aircraft recon data right here, so we'll try to get that to you as soon as possible. This stream's not gonna have all the same bells and whistles as if Nathan is here, but we're still gonna try to manage. And I think we can definitely see here that Patricia is trying to blow up a little bit before hitting the coastline, which is a bit scary to say the least.
It is really, that's quite worrying.
I don't know if you
'cause
see you're seeing the same thing that I am, but it does seem like that tall thunderstorms are starting
Yep.
to blow up, and certainly
I am seeing that indeed.
Certainly, tropical storm force winds are now coming ashore. I doubt the hurricane force winds there. So let's go over.
Are just shy.
Okay. So let's go over what the watches and warnings are. I have posted all of the latest information from the 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time Advisory in the description of this video. So a summary here. Hurricane Patricia is still producing 200-mile-per-hour winds. I would like to reiterate, these are the strongest winds reliably recorded by aircraft reconnaissance. 200-mile-an-hour winds, that's the equivalent of an EF5 tornado.
EF4.
EF5. EF5's 200 plus. The minimum central pressure.
There we go.
Minimum central pressure of this storm is 879 millibars. This beats Wilma's record in the Western Hemisphere by 3 millibars. The lower the pressure, the more intense this storm is.
Shut up!
Hello and welcome to the Force 13 Garden. Welcome to Hurricane Week once again. Back for another year. Here I am in the studio once again. My name is Nathan Foy. I run Force 13. I've been here for nearly 11 years now. It's our birthday again on the 30th, by the way. But in the meantime, we've got a Hurricane Week to get through, and I'm so excited about what we've got coming up this week. We've got some of you may know, some of you may not, that this year we are seeing the return of my Top 100 series. So we're going to see over the next few days the course of my Top 100 and I think we've really outdone ourselves this time with the documentary quality. Fingers crossed you agree. And we're going to see our first 20 tonight. That is number 100 to 81. And then, of course, we'll be looking at more 20s throughout the week. We're going to talk to our team later on, after we've gone through our main feature. I must say, though, as well, it's been a mad rush to get everything ready in time. That really has to be said. And I can tell you right now that some things still aren't ready. But we've still got a lot of really exciting things on the way. And hopefully the stuff that isn't quite ready yet will be finished on time. But you don't need to know that. Let me worry about that. We've got loads of entertaining stuff coming up. We've got game shows. We've got 11 animations lined up, brand new. I saw some people suggesting what they might have been in the comments a little while ago. And one or two of you have the correct hunch. But I'm not telling you which ones. We've got loads of stuff. Guess the Storm. A series of Super Cyclone Challenge, a series of Eye of the Storm as well. If you've not seen that one before, you can take a look at that as well. But the game shows don't start until tomorrow. We've also got a new Force 13 remix collection coming up, a new music collection this week. And we also have some of the old favourites, the Force 13 Awards, and Force for Good on Sunday. If you've not heard about it yet, we really want to let you know about this before I go anywhere. Force for Good coming up on Sunday evening from 7 p.m. UTC, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, and that's running for 9 hours with loads of fun with our team as we try to raise money for hurricane relief across the US and Canada with direct relief. You can take a look at the giving page, which is on Tiltify. If you search Force for Good, you'll be able to find that on there. And you can start donating today, if not on the night. I just wanted to get that out there before we go any further. All right, what have we got lined up for tonight then? So first of all, we're going to go through those first 20, and that will take up this hour. And then some of our game shows weren't ready, so we were supposed to be doing that, but instead we'll be bringing the team in at 11 o'clock UTC, that is. I know we've got time zones all over the place. 6 p.m. Eastern on the clock down here is when we come back to the studio, and we'll just be having a bit of fun there. And then we have some monthly summaries. So our team will be combing over some of the storms that we've seen in the last year, starting with last December into January of this year. Of course, we have our break point in November. And tonight, later on, we've also got the track of Nargis, and we've got the 1967 Atlantic Hurricane Season animation tonight. So hopefully that's enough to keep you sticking around for a while. Let's go straight into my top 100, the first part of which takes us through 100 to 81. The first of our 100 storms is a forgotten Western Pacific classic. A very intense typhoon that struck the southern part of Japan in September 1828. This storm was a Category 3 typhoon at least, with sustained winds known to be at least 125 miles per hour and a pressure down to 935 millibars, although it could have been as low as 900. It moved through southern Kyushu on September the 18th and continued northeastwards most likely through the northern part of Kyushu. It particularly impacted the towns of Saga and up towards Fukuoka. The storm allegedly caused up to 4.5 meters of storm surge, that must be about 15 feet or so, and its impacts were quite extraordinary. One of the deadliest storms in Japanese history, certainly, with over 15,000 dead, and some reports suggest possibly as many as 19,000. There was also 14,000 injured as well. That's almost as many as those fatalities. Additionally, 36,000 buildings were damaged and 72,000 were destroyed. That's the 51st highest worldwide. The track of the storm swept through the western and northern part of Kyushu there, and was at least a Category 3 as mentioned, which is why I'm putting it at number 100 in my top 100 list. Darwin, Australia, December 1974. An unhappy Christmas surprise was to devastate this part of the Northern Territory of Australia, coming in one of its tiniest cyclonic forms, and that was Cyclone Tracy. Tiny because it is indeed one of the smallest storms on record around the world, only beaten by Tropical Storm Marco in 2008. Here it is, the track of Cyclone Tracy, forming from humble beginnings not far from the island of Yamdena, Indonesia, and continuing southwestwards, becoming a Category 1 equivalent as it moved past Melville Island, and then moving southwards, passing by and then striking the Darwin area as it hooked towards the southeast, affecting the area probably as a strong Category 3 storm. This storm was devastating for the area and cut off Darwin for quite some time, and things were quite difficult in the days following. 115 fatalities believed to have occurred from this storm, with monetary costs totaling $645 million back in 1974, the 204th costliest cyclone worldwide.
One of the badly damaged areas is Darwin's thriving airport. Millions of dollars worth of light planes have been smashed beyond recognition. But locals say the change is so great it could mean the end of Darwin.
Many people ignored the storm's warnings, mainly due to a false alarm from a previous storm just a couple of weeks before, and the fact that it was Christmas Eve and parties were already in full swing when the storm was on its way and rapidly intensifying.
Well, it's impossible to think about it at all. The people are just in a terrible situation. It's the destruction is so complete. There's not a house that's just not torn to pieces.
Can you tell me what happened?
Oh, it's terrible.
What happened? What did you
Awful
see?
winds and all of our houses fell in. It's just a disaster.
What happened to your house?
Oh, the windows gone, the whole house just, everything's gone. We've got nothing. We've got to close everything down. One sheet of iron lifted and the whole roof and the whole house went, so we went downstairs and tried to shelter in the workshop. Our workshop went, so all we had left was a car which we sheltered in, and we thought we were safe for a while. We didn't think it was safe at all. We just prayed for life, didn't care what happened to anything else.
Shrieking, howling winds called Cyclone Tracy tore the city apart on Christmas Day. Cyclone Tracy carved a path of destruction never before known on Australian soil. From the air, Darwin looks like a giant rubbish dump. The massive cleanup continues as the city gathers its strength to build again.
Essential services were destroyed, and over half of all the population of Darwin had to evacuate. Many never returned, and that's why we're putting Tracy at number 99 in my top 100 for Hurricane Week 2022. Here's another incredible historic storm that has mainly been forgotten, that affected particularly Siam, as it was known at the time, the Malay Peninsula, and on towards India. This was in the late part of 1891. This was a storm that had its origins probably near the Philippines, and it was likely small in size to begin with, and moved fairly slowly over the southern Visayas region. Eventually the storm developed into a typhoon well before it reached Thailand. The storm started to turn towards the west-northwest as it approached land, probably peaking very close to Koh Samui, just passing to the south, destroying the island and possibly killing up to 6,000. Population on the island at the time is unknown, but we do know from reports that only 39 survived. The storm then arrived on the Malay Peninsula itself, destroying at least 5,600 buildings and killing at least 109. It possibly even gained strength as it moved over the peninsula, as the greatest wind damage was reported inland and on the other side of the peninsula on Zedetki Island, which is also known as St. Matthew's Island, just off the western coast as it started to move out over the Bay of Bengal. The typhoon then headed on towards Port Blair. Pressure reports were probably around 956 millibars, that's what was actually recorded there, although interpolated data suggests that it could have been as low as 940 millibars. The storm then went on towards False Point, where it made landfall. That's on the coast of Odisha. A slightly weaker storm with winds of probably 125 miles per hour, gusting to 150. The pressure recording was 950 millibars, but once again, interpolation suggests that it may have been as low as 939. In total, this cyclone reportedly killed 7,401 in Thailand, although suggested numbers could be as high as 12,000. Surprisingly, no deaths were recorded in India. This storm was probably a high-end Category 4 or maybe even a Category 5 when it made landfall in Thailand. Our latest estimates stay at 155 miles per hour and a probably pressure peak of 919 millibars. And now one of the most well-known Pacific typhoon oldies, the Swato typhoon of 1922, which affected the southeastern part of China, what is now known as Shantou, and made landfall initially in the Philippines, probably as a Category 2, and then strengthened rapidly to reach Category 4 status by the time it landed on the southeastern coast of China. This storm is known for its incredible amount of fatalities, 100,000 roughly, even though we don't know the actual damage statistics. It did come with it at least an 8-foot storm surge, if not higher, the 16th most deadly storm on record worldwide. This storm had an estimated highest wind speed of 130 miles per hour with that lowest pressure of 932 millibars, although that occurred a few miles away from the city itself and from the centre of the eye, so it is quite probable that this storm was actually a stronger storm, or at least a more intense storm with a lower central pressure. Nonetheless, the Swato typhoon, even though we don't have much to document it, just a few images here, will go down as one of the most deadliest storms, particularly in the Western Pacific and particularly in Chinese history. At 96, another lesser-known cyclone that occurred in that tumultuous period that was the 1960s, and this storm occurred at the end of May 1963 as it approached through the Bay of Bengal from the south and would eventually go on to affect East Pakistan as it was known at the time. And whilst we don't know the exact intensity profile for the whole duration of the storm, it's assumed that it probably rapidly intensified as it approached the coastline, peaking as it made landfall pretty much directly over Chittagong as a strong Category 4 storm. This storm was also very impactful and caused over 11,000 fatalities in the region. Of course, it pales in comparison to some other storms, but it still is the 49th deadliest cyclone on record. This storm made landfall with winds near 150 miles per hour and a pressure estimate at sea of 919 millibars shortly before the storm hit land. This, of course, being a very bad period in the North Indian Ocean, the early 1960s. From 1960 to 1963, that's 4 years in a row, there were storms with over 10,000 fatalities each, and in some years there were more than one. In fact, this storm was hot on the heels, just a few days behind, another cyclone in the Arabian Sea that impacted Oman and the Arabian Peninsula and killed 22,000. So this storm, despite how bad it was, wasn't the deadliest of that same season. But this nonetheless is coming in at number 96 on our top 100. At 95 is an early season shocker that affected the Gulf Coast of the United States near the end of June 1957. Hurricane Audrey, as it became to be known, affected the coast, reaching Category 4 intensity before making landfall and striking near its peak intensity, causing extreme damage and devastation along the coastal area. Like many hurricanes we know, it made landfall pretty much directly over Cameron, Louisiana, and that area was quite devastated. 415 were killed by this storm. Whilst it is only the 285th deadliest cyclone in history, it is one of the deadliest US tropical cyclones, and 1,505 were injured by the storm. Additionally, 151,000 buildings were damaged and 4,500 destroyed, so quite a significant tally in those stakes. Maximum rainfall reached 270 millimeters, and it packed a storm surge of at least 12.4 feet. Monetary damages soared to around $200 million, which for the time was quite high. And of course, this storm's devastation was felt mainly in Louisiana and in Texas with the flooding later on, but the area that was worst affected was Cameron Parish, where most of those fatalities occurred. As we can see on this colour imagery, you can see some of the damage that occurred in the general area, but the storm's impacts beyond the actual landfall zone were deemed to be fairly limited, at least in terms of the wind. But the storm surge penetrated as far as 20 miles inland, and that was a big issue for many locations, and indeed inland locations were caught by surprise by this storm, and that's why one of the many reasons that we're putting this at number 95 in my top 100.
Well, the 1959 Mexico hurricane was a really classic October hurricane in Mexico. Well, like every October in the Eastern Pacific, hurricane always turned to the east after intensifying into a really strong hurricane. Has happened many times and still happens currently. And the 1959 Mexico hurricane wasn't the exemption. It was a really intense hurricane, peaking as a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 140 miles per hour, an estimated pressure of 955 or 958 millibars or something like that. When it was recorded, that pressure by landfall near Manzanillo, Mexico, which is the second strongest ever landfall Pacific hurricane in the history, and the deadliest hurricane in the Eastern Pacific Basin in history, with more than 1,800 deaths counted, which makes it the deadliest and one of the costliest Pacific hurricanes ever as well, if you adjust the damages to the actual inflation. So of course it was a really strong hurricane. Back on that time, it wasn't a really like a culture about tracking tropical storms or cyclones in Mexico. So misinformation and about the conditions in the oceans were really poor. So practically the people were taken by surprise with the arrival of that hurricane. Was a really strong hurricane. Operationally was classified as a Category 5 hurricane. But in a reanalysis done in 2016, it was determined that it was a Category 4 major hurricane based on the correlation of pressure and wind speeds. So regardless of it was a Category 4 or Category 5, it was still one of the strongest hurricanes ever back on that time in the Eastern Pacific Basin, and the strongest to make landfall on that time, before being passed by Marilyn of 1976 and then Patricia of 2015.
Cyclone Winston first began in the Southern Pacific on February 10th, with the JTWC initiating advisories on Tropical Cyclone 11P at that time. In a short while after that, the Fiji Meteorological Service upgraded it to a Category 1 cyclone on the Australian scale, giving it the name Winston. Winston would then undergo a significant intensification phase, peaking as a major cyclone before weakening as it moved off towards the south. But something interesting started to happen with Winston's track. It turns off towards the northeast, which not many South Pacific storms do, and then stalled back towards the east, weakening down to a tropical storm to the east of Fiji. At this point, things were very uncertain. We weren't really sure where Winston was going to go, but ultimately, Winston would turn off towards the west, intensifying back to a Category 1 cyclone on the Saffir-Simpson scale, and then as it moved westwards towards Fiji, would undergo a phase of rapid intensification, becoming the strongest storm ever recorded in the Southern Pacific Ocean, peaking officially with a pressure of 884 millibars, which is the lowest ever recorded in the Southern Hemisphere, and a global low at landfall in Fiji, and 1 minute sustained winds officially of 180 miles per hour, though I believe 413 analysis is a little bit stronger than that. Fiji would ultimately fare the absolute worst of Winston, and would not see devastation like what Winston would bring to the island ever since, or even before that. Devastation was completely widespread across the island, and as a result of Winston's passage, $1.4 billion in damage has occurred on the island nation, and 44 people lost their lives from this catastrophic storm. After passing Fiji, Winston would rally a weaken and would turn back towards the south, but not before turning westwards once again and heading towards the coast of Australia, where it would die off as a post-tropical cyclone, lasting for well over a month in the South Pacific Ocean.
My personal opinion on Winston's intensity is that we haven't really seen the case and the reasoning for Fiji's pressure peak. To our knowledge, there's not been anything on the ground that corroborates an 884 millibar reading, so I'm more inclined to stick with our preliminary analysis when the storm first happened, with a maximum wind of 180 miles per hour and a pressure of 905 millibars. That's my take, and I'm sure there's plenty of debate to be had about the intensity of Winston, and I'm sure it's something that will be evaluated time and time again in the future. Orissa, India. The 20th century was about to go out with a bang in October 1999 with an extremely powerful cyclone that first developed over the Malay Peninsula into the Andaman Sea and then intensified gradually but certainly quickly towards Category 5 status, which it eventually reached on its final approach before striking Odisha. The storm making landfall probably still as a powerful Category 4 and then stalled over land, causing major storm surge and flooding issues for the whole region. The storm then continued southwards, moving back out to over the open waters, and then weakened some more and died off well down towards the south on November the 2nd or 3rd.
1919 Odisha cyclone was a remarkable super cyclone, which was the only Category 5 cyclone to make landfall after 1885 till now, after a dormant of 115 years on the basin. It was the deadliest cyclone on the recorded history of the state of Odisha, after killing 30,000 people, mostly by the storm surge, and mostly occurred in Jagatsinghpur. It also causes damage of 4.44 billion USD damage, and remains the costliest cyclone in the basin till 2008, when Cyclone Nargis arrived in the basin as extremely severe cyclone.
Whilst Category 4s happen quite often, Category 5s are still pretty uncommon in the North Indian Ocean, particularly in the Bay of Bengal. This one occurring so close to land was surely a really scary prospect, and that's why it's at number 92 in my top 100. Mauritius, 1892. An incredible cyclone that struck this island nation that occurred in the latter part of April. A substantial storm that emerged from the north and eventually curved round southwestwards and then southeastwards and went on to strike Mauritius as a Category 3 cyclone with winds of at least 120 miles per hour and an estimated central pressure of 946 millibars. This cyclone caused real devastation in Port Louis, with at least 1,500 buildings destroyed. The fatality count is an area of slight confusion, but we expect that it's at least 900, but some estimates have it as high as 1,500. The monetary damage from this storm was also steep, quoted at around £2 million, which at the time was a very high amount of money. And indeed, it was thought for a while that Port Louis may not have been able to rebuild from this catastrophic cyclone. But in the end, of course, it did, and Port Louis remains to this day, still looking out for potential cyclones. This is certainly one of the strongest, deadliest, and definitely one of the most destructive cyclones to affect the Masserine Islands, and indeed this storm's death toll is only behind Cyclone Idai in 2019. That of course being the death toll rankings for the Southwest Indian Ocean, and possibly a claim that it was also one of the strongest storms in the entire Southern Hemisphere, and that's why it's number 91 on my top 100. Odisha, India, May 2019. And we were looking down the barrel of a very powerful cyclone that was approaching the coast of eastern India, first forming near the end of April in that year, of course, from an extremely low latitude near the equator, moving northwards, becoming a tropical depression, quickly followed by tropical storm status, and then a gradual movement towards the north-northwest. It became a Category 1 hurricane equivalent as it reached the same latitude as Chennai, and then continued northwestwards, becoming a Category 3, was moving northwestwards, and then it curved northwards, providing a fairly tricky forecast for those who were forecasting the storm ahead of time. And then it went on to make landfall after peaking as an extraordinary Category 5 storm with winds of 165 miles per hour, and our wind estimate of 913 millibars, before weakening rapidly after making landfall in Odisha, not far from Puri, and then continuing northeastwards, weakening to a tropical storm as it entered Bangladesh and back over into northern India as a tropical depression. Whilst the track was different, the impacts of this storm were quite reminiscent of the 1999 cyclone that we saw not long ago in our Top 100 series, and its impacts were quite similar. The price tag on this storm was at least $4.2 billion, although it may have been much higher. 72 fatalities occurred from the storm, and whilst it's not clear exactly how many buildings were damaged or destroyed, the damage was extremely extensive, and 2.4 million people evacuated from this storm ahead of time, which is nearly the highest amount that we've seen anywhere in the world. Madagascar, February 1994. The port city of Toamasina was about to get slammed by a major cyclone coming in from the Indian Ocean. None other than Cyclone Giralda, one of the strongest storms to occur in the Southwest Indian Ocean, and certainly one that packed a dreadful punch to the eastern coast of Madagascar. Forming in the late days of January and then gradually intensifying for quite a few days, eventually reaching Category 4 and then Category 5 status. Well, it really had the looks when it was peaking at its Category 5 status, which was around a day and a half before it made landfall in eastern Madagascar. It did weaken, thankfully, a little bit before reaching land, weakening to a Category 4 more than a day out, and then down to Category 3 just as it was making landfall. It then moved inland, weakening to a tropical depression as well. It was over halfway through Madagascar by then, and it turned towards the southwest and obviously caused flooding concerns in those areas as well. There aren't many images or news about what this storm actually caused, Madagascar being a rather poor country, and unfortunately not much news comes out of there really, especially back in the 1990s. But clearly it was a humanitarian disaster, and 304 were killed by the storm. Also quoted as over 100,000 buildings damaged by this storm as well, and it was probably quite a bit more than that. 40,000 buildings were destroyed, and monetary damages, at least what we can account for, not very much, just 10 million, but I expect that it was probably quite a bit more, as we alluded to. A Category 5 storm at peak, Category 3 at landfall, Giralda was a very powerful cyclone and very memorable, and that's why it gets number 89 on my top 100. Honduras, September 1974. And the country was about to be gripped by a substantial hurricane that would pass very close to, but not actually make landfall in the country. And this was Hurricane Fifi. First starting out from the African continent as a tropical wave in the early days of September, moving out over the Atlantic, and it was quite a broad system in its early days over the Atlantic, but it never managed to get to tropical storm status despite its large size. It continued towards the Lesser Antilles, gradually moving pretty much due west for its whole duration through the central Atlantic. And by the time we got to the 14th or the 15th of September, it moved into the eastern Caribbean Sea and finally became a tropical depression, passing south of Hispaniola and starting to move further towards the west again, becoming a tropical storm south of Jamaica, and then continuing towards northern Honduras and towards the Yucatan Peninsula, strengthening to a strong Category 2 hurricane, almost a Category 3, passing just north of landfall in Honduras, and finally did make landfall in southern Belize, moving inland over central Mexico and actually re-intensifying a little bit as it developed into the next storm, Orlene, a double-barreled name, Fifi Orlene, and there it is near its peak intensity off the northern coast of Honduras. This storm will always be known for its extraordinary rainfall. 610 millimeters was the highest value recorded, but flooding and mudslides did a real number on Honduras, much worse damage than anywhere else from this storm. Over the following 36 to 48 hours after the storm reached the area, mudslides caused a huge amount of deaths, several thousand, and the numbers kept rising all throughout. In some areas, whole villages and towns were swept away, one of which happened during the night, almost eliminating one town's entire population. In all, it's thought that the storm produced over 11,000 fatalities, almost 12,000, damaged 100,000 buildings, and destroyed over 10,000. The storm's monetary damage was 1.8 billion, which was a pretty high amount for this particular era, and Fifi Orlene will go down as one of the worst storms to affect Central America and Honduras. Of course, let's not forget what happened on the other side as Orlene, where it peaked once again as a Category 2 hurricane before going on to make landfall in western Mexico. But it will always be remembered for its impacts and its effects and damages, mainly in Honduras, but also in its surrounding countries. And that's number 88 on my top 100. Kyushu, Japan, September 1983. And a very impressive typhoon was embarking on its course across the Philippine Sea and headed straight for the Japanese islands. In the last 10 days of September, Typhoon Forest sprang up from a wave that was moving through Micronesia and developed into a very strong typhoon. Going along with pressures down into the 970s, and then the storm went absolutely berserk. This storm reaching an extremely powerful peak as a Category 5 with a pressure of at least 883 millibars detected by recon just 24 hours after pressures were in the 980s, so 100 millibars or nearly that much being gained or lost rather from the storm in an extremely short time span. Forest is very often seen as a case study on what explosive intensification can really do, and is still one of the most incredible explosive intensification bouts that we've ever seen across satellite imagery era. This storm, of course, may have been even a little bit stronger than that. 883 millibars was directly captured by recon, but there was a gap after that, and so some extrapolations suggest that the pressure may have been as low as 876 millibars. This has been backed up by a World Meteorological Organization report, and so that is now the official intensity of this incredible storm. Despite that, and something compounding things a little bit further, Dvorak estimates on satellite imagery only reached T6.5, which isn't even indicative of a Category 5 storm, and recon planes themselves only captured winds of borderline Category 5 status. So this remarkable, extremely powerful storm, which is only around 6 millibars from being a record holder, may have only just scraped Category 5 status in terms of winds. I suppose this is one of many cases that suggests that there needs to be more to see regarding the Saffir-Simpson scale rather than just the wind speed, because a low pressure like this will have increased the storm surge and is also an indication of the storm's size as well. This storm did plough into Japan. It was in the 920s when it entered the East China Sea, and then it moved northwards and curved round towards Kyushu. It was much weaker by the time it got there, but it still caused significant damage in some areas. In total, 38 were killed by the storm, 46,000 buildings damaged, and at least 100 destroyed. The storm also produced very heavy rainfall over some areas with maximums of 540 millimeters. Forest, certainly well known in the meteorological community, is number 87 on my top 100. Osaka, Japan, September 1950. A new tropical depression was forming at the last days of August in the open Western Pacific in 1950, and it eventually became Tropical Storm Jane, and it became a typhoon and intensified quite substantially as it approached Japan. It was a fairly short track storm, but it certainly developed quite intensively to Category 3 status and made landfall in Osaka Bay as a Category 2 before pushing off towards the northeast and then turning post-tropical just off Hokkaido. The storm surge from this storm piled into Osaka Bay, and that whole region was severely affected by storm surge. It was believed that 700 ships were marooned or damaged, and the damages inland were also just as stark, with 192,000 buildings damaged and 512,000 destroyed from this storm. 250 were killed roughly, and 1,400 were injured. The storm also caused $27 million in damages. After the season, Jane was retired and was replaced with June. Antalaha, Madagascar, March 2004. The end of February into the first days of March heralded a new tropical depression, which would form after quite a little while as a tropical wave out in the open waters of the central Indian Ocean, moving quite aimlessly at first before turning more towards the west and then headed towards the southwest Indian Ocean landmasses. The storm intensified at a steady rate to Category 1 for a good while before it was more rapid towards the next step, reaching Category 4 and then Category 5 status as it approached northern Madagascar, making landfall pretty much directly over Antalaha as a Category 4. This was an incredibly powerful storm that remained quite strong as it continued over the whole northern part of Madagascar, still as a Category 1 in the Mozambique Channel, turning southeastwards, affecting the southern part of Madagascar as a tropical storm, stalling a little bit and then weakening and dying off eventually, although this wasn't the final part of this storm, because it would regenerate later on as it was passing well to the south of the Masarene Islands and become a subtropical storm, so a second life for Gafilo as it continued southeastwards. It then moved on towards the east and then stalled again eventually and turned around, although it didn't really go anywhere after that. This storm was extremely powerful and caused really substantial damages. And its peak at West Indian Ocean, it's fitting that it's number 85 on my top 100. Fiji, Kadavu, March 1979. A system that was hovering around the coast of Fiji for quite a few days as a disturbance for a good while developed eventually into a tropical cyclone in the later days of March 1979 and became Cyclone Melly, a storm name that hardly anyone has probably heard of, although this did become an extraordinarily powerful storm against the odds and potentially against others' views. It became a Category 5 as it passed to the south of the Fiji Islands, passing through the Kadavu Islands as a strong Category 4 or possibly still a 5, and then diving towards the south and southeast, where it eventually turned post-tropical. The very fascinating thing about this storm is its intensity, which appears to have been grossly underestimated by authorities. Indeed, the officials of Fiji only estimated this storm to have peak winds of 100 miles per hour and a central pressure of 945 millibars. The JTWC went higher at 130 miles per hour, Category 4 just about, but when we take a look at the satellite images of the storm, it's clear that it was much more powerful than that, no matter what anyone really has to disagree about it. I think it is still an extremely powerful storm. Did it sustain for very long? Well, it did actually, quite a few hours during the day of March 27th, probably a full 24-hour period nearly of Category 5 status. The Force 13 estimate puts it at 175 miles per hour at peak and a pressure of 903 millibars. The storm was also deadly as well, killing 50 in total, including 19 that were sheltering in a church, which collapsed. In my view, the notability of this storm is much higher because it's, I suppose, a forgotten storm, and one that's been overlooked by more recent analysis. And that's why it's at number 84 in my top 100. Cassowary Coast, Australia, February 2011.
Yasi, one of the most powerful storms to strike the Australian mainland, and certainly the most damaging by a wide margin in recent, or at least recorded history. The storm slammed northern Queensland in a way that hasn't been seen before or since, in fact. I think one thing that we can all remember all around Australia was the fact that the price of tropical fruit, mangoes and bananas absolutely went through the roof because it flattened all the crops up there, but a historic storm for everywhere affected, that's for sure, and one likely not to be surpassed for a while.
Yasi's origins were actually on the other side of the international dateline near Samoa, where it first started to become notable as a tropical disturbance, and it sailed westwards for a few days at disturbance level before finally becoming a tropical depression as it neared Vanuatu. By the latter days of January, the storm started to intensify, and that intensification phase would start to ramp up further and further as the storm got closer to Australia, peaking as a strong Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, Category 5 on the Australian scale, and then moving inland over Queensland, and it took a while to die off as well over the inland part of Australia. My estimate for the storm puts it at 155 miles per hour and 929 millibars, which I believe is pretty much what the official line on the storm is, but Josh thinks that this storm was stronger.
Yeah, Category 5, Saffir-Simpson and Australian scale, there's no denying its peak intensity, at least 160 miles per hour. It's certainly not one of the strongest storms out there, and the Australian region can throw stronger storms, that's for sure. But just looking at the satellite presentation of it at peak, it was crazy strong. It had to be at least 160 miles per hour, 140 knots. I think that's 270 kilometers an hour as well. If it was a Category 5 on landfall, I don't really know. I doubt it. It might have lost 10 miles an hour or 10 knots or so, but it certainly peaked as a Category 5. Devastating to complete total devastation. It looked like the places that had been affected were wiped clean. Trees were completely demolished, houses were torn to shreds. It was like a tornado had hit most of the places, and because Yasi was so wide as well, so big, impact stretched from Townsville up towards Cairns and even further north, so widespread impacts and a very concentrated powerful centre obviously resulted in a massive, tremendous impact.
Yasi was right near the beginning of my storm tracking phase in life, and being in the southern hemisphere, it wasn't really seen as that important compared to storms in the northern hemisphere. I do have vague memories of tracking the storm operationally, but certainly not as much as later storms. But Yasi, of course, was certainly a big disaster for Northern Australia and goes to show the potential for some storms when they enter the Coral Sea. Yasi's number 83 on my top 100. Kyushu, Japan, October 1951. A tropical depression was brewing in the early days of October to the southeast of Guam and continued on towards the northwest, becoming Tropical Storm Ruth and then becoming a typhoon, peaking as a strong Category 4 storm with estimated winds of 150 miles per hour and a pressure of 924 millibars. That Category 4 peak happened just before the storm rounded the corner and turned northwards, headed towards the southern Ryukyu Islands, passing through as a Category 3 and weakening substantially, but was still a Category 1 by the time it swept through the main islands of Japan, causing a lot of damage. The storm became post-tropical as it moved well out to sea, and in its later days, in its post-tropical cyclone stint, it reached the Aleutian Islands and rounded towards the northwest, and then traced along the rest of those islands, moving back towards the Kamchatka Peninsula. Ruth was a very destructive storm. The Korean War was ongoing at the time, and some US and Australian vessels were caught in it, some at sea and some in port in various places in Kyushu, and there were several ships that were damaged, some aircraft carriers and other vessels, but the main damages occurred inland, particularly from river flooding. 147,000 buildings were damaged and 221,000 destroyed. Extraordinary numbers. Also, 1,294 were killed and 2,644 were injured. I guess it's really telling by looking at the amount of rain this storm dropped as to its damage. 639 millimeters, which is certainly up there in terms of Asian storms at least. So Ruth was a pretty powerful storm, a pretty forgotten storm as well, of course, and that's why I think it's wise to bring it to everyone's attention by making it number 82 on my top 100. Haulover, Nicaragua, November 2020.
So I believe Tropical Storm Iota started life out in, like, I want to say not quite the main development region, like more or less in the Caribbean Sea. It gradually, like, as it traversed westward, I'm trying to recall my best from memory here, but as it traversed westward, that's when it intensified into Hurricane Iota, Category 1. Then as it inched towards the Nicaraguan coastline, that's when it began to rapidly intensify. And then operationally, eventually it was classified as a Category 5, and then it weakened slightly, made landfall as a Category 4, before wreaking havoc all across Nicaragua and Honduras. Now bear in mind that this was just 2 weeks after a similarly strength Hurricane Eta, made landfall in roughly the same location just 2 weeks ago, also a Category 4. But it should also be noted that Hurricane Iota in post-analysis was downgraded to a Category 4 hurricane as well, 155 miles an hour. I'd only just joined the team at the time, so I was like the newest guy on the block, wondering what on earth I was doing half the damn time. But yeah, I mean, I learned eventually. Obviously, being on the live events, just watching the chaos unfold, like getting news it was Category 5 was like, I remember I was walking one of the dogs in my local forest when I received news that the NHC had upgraded it to Category 5, and I was just there like, oh my god, this is so serious, especially 2 weeks after Eta. And then I race home after walking the dog, and I get onto my computer here, and I'm like, guys, what on earth is going on?
Well, it's what we're all hoping against, but Iota has become a Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale as it passes close to Providencia. On its way to Central America, a likely landfall in Nicaragua at or near this intensity. Probably one of the worst that they've experienced given the history of the other storm that we've already had, and this one now that's a Category 5 with that wind field that's a significant size as well. An immaculate satellite appearance with an eye temperature roughly 17 degrees on satellite shows that this storm could still be intensifying at this time as it draws closer to land.
And yeah, I was sort of on like one of the earlier time slots, so it hadn't made landfall by that time then. Obviously, it got into the late hours over here. Obviously, different teams were on. The storm eventually made landfall as a Category 4, and it was quite emotional, really, because I can remember some of the teams here. They nearly burst into tears whilst they were trying to compose themselves on the air.
Iota ripped through Nicaragua and the wider Central American region, killing at least 82 and damaging at least 91,000 buildings. The storm caused probably nearly $5 billion in damages, and Iota was an extremely difficult storm to handle right on the back of Eta.
And well, I had the chance to go and give some humanitarian relief for the storm in southern Mexico, which was affected by mostly the rain, not that much the wind. But after such a big storm, it was expected for a lot of areas to get impacted. So I actually went to the mountains in Chiapas, which is a state in southeastern Mexico. And I was there for 5 days, bringing over 2,500 medical kits and hygiene kits, and also food kits for the families there, because the rain pretty much destroyed a lot of towns. And well, I got there, I believe it was on the 8th of November, if I'm not mistaken. And I was there for 5 days, and basically it was raining the whole time. I couldn't see the sunlight for like 5 days because the whole sky was covered by the clouds of Iota. And well, it was a life-changing experience for me, because it was really the first time where I went to give humanitarian relief, especially for a hurricane. And I don't know, it just seemed like most people don't realize how impactful storms are in that area of the world, especially in Central America and in South Mexico, because not a lot of people in the media don't really look at it that much. But since the infrastructure there is not really that good, lots of places got destroyed and lots of houses got destroyed. So it just seems to me that Iota, along with Eta, was such a historic storm for Nicaragua, Honduras, Mexico, El Salvador. And I don't know, it just seems like a lot of people just don't remember it that much, like outside of the weather community and all that kind of stuff. So I would like for people to remember it, or talk about it a little more, because I haven't seen such a catastrophe, at least in that area, since probably the earthquake in 2017, which also brought a lot of damage. And you know, it also changed the way that I saw helping and how to give a helping hand to people. And ever since then, I've dedicated myself to many parts of Mexico to bring relief from other storms such as Grace. I also went to help him with Agatha and Eta, of course.
The disaster caused by both these storms also led to the launch of Force 13's new charity feature, Force for Good, which was already in the planning stages, but this event clearly made us decide what we'd be fundraising for that year. And that is something we're doing for the third time this year in 2022.
Yes, the Force for Good we did. It was quite a quite an exciting time, really. We obviously did like an 8 or 9 hours stream overnight. In my time, I think it finished at like 5 in the morning over here. And yeah, we embarrassed ourselves to say the least, all in the name for a very, very good cause of raising money for Nicaragua and Honduras after the effects of both ETA and IOTA. If memory serves me correctly, one thing we did was a Minecraft challenge, which we failed, and the punishment for failing that challenge was for a family member to dunk a bucket of ice water over our head. Which was great fun. I had to be filmed in my area a few days after, and I had to prepare for it and everything. Whilst I think everyone else just sort of did it right on the spot.
We certainly won't forget IOTA, and that is number 81 on my top 100. There we go. Well, that was Christian there getting iced at the end. That is the part 1 of our top 100 series, and I think that went by pretty well. And we're now live here in the studio. In my studio, of course. My name is Nathan Foy, and you can see some of our team here with me right now. We've got Christian again above me.
Hi.
We've got an empty room. We've got Samuel, and we have Lucas and David.
What is up, guys?
Oh, Jesus. There's Lucas.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So there we go.
It's time, my friends. It's time, my friends.
And we're also joined by Seven right now as well, so it's nice to have everyone on board. So that is the main feature for today. We've still got a few more things coming up. We've got animations to show. Sadly, and I'm very sad about this, Ethan can't join us tonight because he's been dragged out to look at Christmas lights, apparently.
Yes.
So that's interesting because Ethan has sort of been, as well as our other member Army, has been sort of commanding the animations and making sure all 11 of them get finished on time. So we've got Cyclone Nargis, nearly forgot what it was. Nargis coming up fairly soon. When are we supposed to be airing that? Let me just check again. This is Q2 is when we're going to be doing that, and we'll be showing 1967 Atlantic, hopefully at midnight UTC. That's 7:30 Eastern, but I still don't have it yet, so I don't know if we will. Such is how things are right now. But in the meantime, and again, we're supposed to be doing one of the game shows now, but we're not because we're not ready. So that instead is going to be 2 tomorrow if we're ready, and then it's just going to be knocked back throughout the rest of the week. So we're just going to be having fun basically. But we also want to hear from a few of our team members about their experiences with Force 13 because it's a celebration of us as well, and it's our birthday week. So a lot happens during this week
aboard,
of the year.
Christian.
It's the end of hurricane season. It's our birthday week, and I forgot what the other one was. But yeah, Samuel, you wanted to tell us a bunch of stuff, but first of all, where are you joining us from tonight?
I am joining from London, England. So yeah, I'm in you guys' territory.
No, run away!
Yes, I'm slated to.
Scared.
I got plans to meet up with a couple of you later this week.
Will you be in the studio?
Well, I probably won't be able to meet Nathan till next week. So we'll see how things go. But but back to the important part of why I joined Force 13. Well, it all started with the 2017 Atlantic Hurricane Season animation. That's what drew me in.
Wow, was it?
It was. Basically, I was just binging all the Force 13 animations, back in 2018, early 2019. Then early 2019 joined the Discord server, and then I started getting involved, and especially after learning that there was a US channel, I started to get more involved with that because that's the kind of weather that affects me more locally, and I decided to help out with them, and I've grown quite a bit since then. I've participated in a couple of game show challenges, as well as made some regular appearances on Force Teeth Sundays, and I was able to produce at one point a severe weather minute, which went out pretty well. And right now, things are looking up for Force 13 US with streams.
How long was your severe weather minute?
It's like 2-3 minutes. That was back when like Ethan, I believe, was heading the US channel.
It's supposed to be a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, but most of them were over a minute anyways. So what did it matter?
Condensed out of a minute. Anyways, that's not the point. So Sam, you first joined in. You first saw the 2017 animation. How do you feel that animations have progressed since then?
I feel like they have improved a lot, especially like I remember seeing the 2021 and 2022. Well, no, 2020 and 2021 animations, and compared to 2017, those two animations were significantly improved and had a lot more data to work with, along with some of the other Cyclone animations. It became more diversified when we had some other people at the helm.
Yeah, that's also true. Quite a lot of animators. And are you seeing yourself more of a US person moving forward?
Absolutely, especially also considering that I'm in the North Atlantic is kind of my specialty for Cyclones.
Well, tell us what you think about how the North Atlantic has gone this year.
Well, I was expecting it to be another above average season, but surprisingly, it managed to hit right at the average number of storms in regards to the new average. We did get just above average in hurricanes and just below average in major hurricanes, but obviously, probably the thing that stands out the most about this season is probably the impacts from Fiona, Ian, and Nicole, which I would not surprise if all three of those get retired.
Interesting, and we'll discuss things like that later on in the week in more depth there. Anything else you'd like to say, Samuel? Because we wanted to give you the floor here.
Well, considering that it is late on all of our ends, if we're talking Christian, Nathan, and I.
No, it isn't.
It is for me because I have a big day because I'm studying abroad in England and Ireland later. So
what a crazy thing to do!
Be a busy day, and wishing the best of luck to my teammates on the U.S. side of things, because we are staring down a big potential tornado outbreak tomorrow in Dixie Alley.
Yeah, big mess on the way by the sounds of things. Does that mean you're going now, Sam? Then?
Unfortunately, yes, but it's been a pleasure being on here for even just for a little bit. Hopefully, I can make it to another little live discussion later on during Hurricane Week. But the highlights of my trip are basically hoping to meet you and Christian.
There he is. Christian's much more likely. He's very close, and he knows London well. He can give you tips. You wanted ideas of things to do, didn't you?
Hey, I met him when I was in London a few weeks ago.
So, Mr. Tour Guide is right up there, top left.
Yep.
Because I'm I might live here in the UK, but I'm nearly 200 miles away from London. I don't really know it that well. But
I mean, if
you know,
if people want to go to Manchester, Nathan's your guy, not me.
yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to have very much favour, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, we are an attraction here. We'll see. You know, the doors are open, but there's not very much to see here, apart from just having a random chat with me in my office, which you can, but I think there's other things you can do. Anyway, Sam.
I mean, I've still not been to your place yet.
Indeed, yes. Sam, thanks very much for telling us a little bit of your story there, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye. See ya. Bye.
And if you've got comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air here as well, to chat about absolutely anything, we are an open forum. You won't get many of these during the week because, once again, this was supposed to be a game show slot, but it's been pushed to tomorrow. So it's just a chat hour at the a chat hour at this point. I bit my tongue. So you know, you can start your messages.
That's good. That's gotta kind of hurt
a little bit. So let's see what we've got in the chat. Whilst we wait for that, let's say hello to Tim as well, who's in here too. I was just trying to remember whether you were in the pre-show or not, but you weren't. You were mentioned in the pre-show. But hello there, Tim.
Yeah, good evening, guys.
And also, Tim's back.
Yeah, his back.
Yes.
What's wrong with his back?
Nothing. He's just back with the team after a couple of months, I think, or whatever.
Sorry, I'll stop the terrible puns.
Well, what's wrong with his back is that it hurts after carrying the US team for so long.
Ooh.
Oh, that is harsh, Chris. That is harsh.
Hopefully, you'll do a great job tomorrow.
Yeah.
As long as the rest of the team
I mean, tomorrow's gonna be very interesting. I know a few of our viewers in chat are asking what tomorrow's looking like. We actually did an update over on Force 13 US, a severe weather update, where between our analysis and the SPC, this could be looking like a tornado outbreak on the cards. So our team is keeping a very close eye on it. We do have an update over on Force 13 US with it. And I believe, Nathan, we have an possible interview for a Hurricane Week with our new partners, do we not?
We're supposed to soon, but it hasn't been done yet. But we can get them on live if they want, but we'll some people laughing in the comments at the thing. Yes, but Tim, you know, it's one of these situations where during our week, sometimes a big event can pop up. Other times we've had to deal with big hurricanes and typhoons that have happened during Hurricane Week, but it is a US severe scenario tomorrow, so we're obviously going to be keeping up our end of the bargain with our US channel team running the coverage, even though we'd rather you were having fun with us, but needs must.
Yeah, sadly, I would love to be on for the whole time of Hurricane Week, but duty does call for US interests. And since we hadn't had the chance to unveil it, I guess I can publicly announce it for our viewers. There's been times during this year, last year, and the year before, you've asked, okay, you say there's a tornado on the ground, can we see it? And we've had to say no, regrettably, due to license issues or other issues beyond our control, we couldn't show what the storm chasers were showing. However, that has changed this year. And that is due in part to one of our own members. You guys actually saw him during the top 100. Our own Josh Chewy was able to reach out to a group down in Mississippi. They go by Spark Service Storm Chasing. And we now have an official partnership with them to not only work with them, but they will be providing on-the-ground coverage for this severe weather event tomorrow, Nathan. I am really excited for this event to be working with them. They've been in constant communication with us and our team. So It's going to be very interesting. So when people say now, can we see the tornado? We can probably say, yeah, here's the tornado. Here's who's on it. And Spark Service is providing that service to us. So a big hats off to them for partnering with us. And I'm really excited to see what they bring to the U.S. coverage for this event.
They seem like a sensible team, although maybe a little bit hopeful there, Tim. It is a large area that people have to cover when we're talking about the US. No Storm Chaser is going to get everyone, but I'm sure we'll see more stuff of interest than what we would normally.
Yeah, we will. What makes this work out for the storm chasing team that we're working with and us is this is right in their backyard. We're talking a moderate risk in western Mississippi, and our storm chasing group is based right there in eastern Mississippi, western Alabama. So this is right in their backyard. They're excited to go chasing. We're excited to provide the coverage. It's going to be very interesting tomorrow when we go live.
All right. Let's get some questions. There's been quite a few. One of them is sort of on that point in a way. Oscar says, can you tell us what new is coming in the next year in regards to Force 13 and keep up the good work? If I'm being terribly honest with everyone, this year feels like we've sort of been... All right, I'll tell you what. Last off season, preparation for the new year of tracking was abysmal, and this year we've done, there's not been very much new stuff, innovations this year, etc. But coming up to Hurricane Week, I think it's been a really good build up. Some of the work that's been done coming up to this event has been innovative and new and good. You've already seen some of it. So I feel that when we're giving loads more time, we've got months to... All of this stuff, this top 100, I only started work on that, and no word of a lie on this, 5 weeks ago. So it hasn't been a very long time. Usually we give ourselves at least double, 10 weeks to do something like this. But 5 weeks we've had. And I think coming into next year, you're going to see a whole host of new things that's going to be really exciting on the channel. I can't really tell you just what yet, but keep watching out closely, and I think we'll know more by the time we get to our New Year's live stream. What time are we starting the stream tomorrow? I think every night is the same time. Yes?
3:30.
What?
3:30 p.m. Central Daylight.
Central Daylight?
Or Central Standard.
I've got to do the math in my head. Yeah, that's when we started the pre-show today, but no, it's 4. It's 4 every day, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's when we start every day, and we're generally running for 3 or 4 hours. Tonight, I'm not sure it's going to be the full time period because we've had to move a few things around, but still, we're going to be having lots and lots of hours of stuff this week. Let's get some more comments there as well. What's the closest developing tropical or subtropical cyclone to the South or North Pole?
Interesting.
I've no idea.
Oh, come on,
Also,
Nathan, you're a historian. Thought you would have had that on the top of your list.
I'm not well versed in extreme latitudes, especially.
I also
when
just found out that we still haven't gone through like all the other team members. Like, what was their experience with Force 13? We've only done Sammy though.
Well, that's because Samuel requested it, but we can do it with other people because we're doing a few little bit of testimonials as well. But Lucas, you want to go ahead and do that? We can do that.
Yeah, I honestly kind of feel like explaining like my entire experience with Force 13 because like from the first days I started watching Force 13, of course I think it was the first video Force 13 I watched was the 2017 Atlantic Hurricane season animation, which is of course the most popular on Force 13's channel with over 1 million views, which is absolutely crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching that. Thank you guys so much for the support. And I think the first day I joined the team was definitely in August 2020 when we hit 50,000 subs with you know, of course, Strat was on there. I definitely remember, and yeah, that was a great time. And I haven't been on the team and on live coverages that much in 2020 because I got cyberbullied by a couple of users, like back in November, late November, leading into early December, and I took the entirety of 2021 off, and I've asked my parents several times if I wanted to come back to Discord, and the reason I wanted to come back is to come back to Force 13 and be in more live coverages. And I rejoined back on December 31st of last year, and I got back into the coverages on I think it was the 16th of January, and I've just been on the team ever since. And to be honest, it has been an amazing journey. And like Sammy said about the icons, they have been improving. I actually have started becoming a fan with the icons that they got newer as time flew. And of course, I just can't thank everyone enough for the support they've given for the past 11 years. And with me being a part of the team since August 2020, and I really have became a huge fan of Force 13. And to be honest, guys, I did order myself some Force 13 merch, and they will be coming in mid-December. And yeah, I decided to order myself some merch to show how much of a fan I really am to Force 13, and I just can't thank you guys enough. It has been an amazing journey.
Oh, Lucas, you didn't need to, you know. I hope you do it for comfort as well.
Yeah. And of course, I managed to meet Christian while I was on vacation in London a couple of weeks ago, which was absolutely incredible. I will never forget that. And yeah,
You're making a video on that, right?
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
he is.
yeah, I did. I'm still currently editing it. It will be out on my channel on Christmas Day, just letting you guys know.
Look forward to that.
And I will tell you guys something else in a second. But overall, the journey with Force 13 has just probably been amazing. And since I lost my grandma back in June, this has honestly made my life a lot better. And yeah, I really am looking forward to tonight, hopefully throughout the rest of the week, even though I have work. And I'll definitely be looking forward to going to participating in the Super Cyclone Challenge, which will be on Friday. And I have been selected to be a part of the Super Cyclone Challenge, which I'm extremely grateful for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
I'm just extremely grateful, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I consider all of you as my friends, and yeah.
We're right
Oh,
here.
Thank
We're
you
not
so
going
much.
Anywhere.
Lucas.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, Lucas.
Yeah, I know you're, and I know you're holding a pillow. I know.
Yeah, quick homage to the tropical weather bulletins of this year.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Christian.
And of course.
Oh, sorry.
And of course, I will never forget Xavier's Hone roll joke back on June the 4th.
Oh no.
Oh, which one's that?
That one was from June the 4th on the Tropical Weather Bulletin.
I'm a bit worried about what that one is now. Christian, you've been hard done by recently, haven't you?
Kind of.
You never got into any of the game shows.
Yeah, and you drew like 3 times.
We had to do.
I never got in.
Yeah, we did like 3 different draws because some of the successful applicants.
Gonna put the link on
either
discussion.
the email never sent through or whatever, and we had to do some redraws. And Christian was still unsuccessful. He's not in a game show this week.
And like the first time I joined, I was in 2 of them, so it makes a
sad.
change. But I'll sit on the sidelines and cheer the applicants on.
Now, there was another question as to whether we're doing Guess the Storm this week. Ah, of course, the old favourite. Well, I can tell you that the answer is yes. But the thing is, at the moment on my schedule, I've got it down for Friday, but I've only allotted 50 minutes for it. That doesn't sound like enough, does it?
Nope.
Sounds like we might have to do what we did for Force for Good last year. Do Guess the Storm against the viewers, and if they hose us, we pay towards our charity.
Well, yeah, we're already doing that, but we're also doing a normal Guess the Storm on Friday. But 50 minutes doesn't sound like very much, so I don't know whether we'll have to do some extra later on. Christian, stop that.
What? I have.
Yes. Anyway, Seven, you're also there as well. Hello.
From Tampa, Florida.
Looking excited.
Whoa.
I am
What was
excited.
that?
It's my best friend.
Oh dear.
Also, look at that, bro.
It's my best friend.
Whoa.
Anyways,
Is that a taser? Is that a taser?
yeah, yeah, it's a taser.
Be careful.
Anyways, my experience with Force 13 is honestly pretty surprising. So, I originally joined the server back in January last year. I joined in as part of the sound team because I, like many others, have came here through the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season animation. So I came in through that. I've watched a whole bunch of the animations. And honestly, going back to the animations in 2017, 5 years ago, it already feels like nostalgia. And 5 years really isn't that long, depending on how you look at it. But Nathan, I want to say Nathan has an interesting style of music that I've grown attracted to.
I was getting worried
And
then.
it's honestly grown to be one of my favorite types of music. I used to listen to pop music and stuff, and I never thought that I would actually ever be able to make music, but Force 13 actually inspired me to make music, and now I'm a part of them, and seeing as like how much all the other things that they do, it's honestly mind-blowing to me, like how hard everyone in here works. Like, seriously, it's ridiculous in a good way.
Sometimes, but credit to you, Seven. You're a good musician yourself. You've just discovered it, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I've used some of your tracks in my animations that have gone up on the channel, and there is one upcoming as well. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what it is, but
is he allowed?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is he allowed, Nathan?
Well, it's yours. I mean,
what?
That's up to. I was up to you. I was asking you, Nathan.
Oh, me? Wait, what are you asking me?
Yeah. I'm allowed to reveal what animations are coming up that I did.
Which one is it? Is it?
It's a singular track animation. Deadly Storm from 5 years ago.
I mean, it's in your top 100, but it didn't air tonight.
Oh, I
Everyone's
thought
gonna
that's
be
already gone out, but okay, well.
Oh, that was the other one that already went out.
Yeah, it
the
was
one after it.
Yeah, I think people know what it is now. But go on then.
Yeah, so obviously when Irma happened, there was a V1 animation, which I don't know who did that. I think it was Nathan.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a V2 coming out.
Didn't Nathan do everything back then? All the animation?
I actually seen that animation before.
Yeah, you've seen it because you're part of the team.
Of course I am, and I love being part of the team.
Yeah, the thing is though, I'd originally planned for it to use 2 of Nathan's tracks, but then Seven was he's gone. Seven was like, hey, can you use my track instead? So I toyed with the video a bit, and then I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then obviously that's the final product.
In about 15 minutes, we'll be seeing the track of Cyclone Nargis. And some more questions there about the worldwide animations. And I can tell you that at some point you're going to get a jump scare. The 2020 worldwide animation is going to appear at some point this week out of nowhere.
Oh.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Why a jump scare?
Because I haven't told anyone when it will be. It could be in 2 seconds, or it could be at the last minute
In 2
on
weeks.
Saturday night. Or it could be in the middle of Wednesday, so look out for that.
Saturday Night Live.
No, we will give a little bit of forewarning because we actually want people to watch it.
Time to paste the link to my new server in the chat. Everybody's been waiting.
And then when's 2021 worldwide? Got to prepare for those questions yet?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Well, first of
Definitely.
all, 2021 has to be made into a report to actually get all of the data, and that hasn't been done. So I reckon we'll see 2021 worldwide near the end of winter. And then we'll see 2022, hopefully, in middle of spring, maybe, and we'll be back caught up again.
Oh, yes.
Fingers crossed.
So it's coming. We just don't know when.
2020 is definitely coming this week. It's already finished. It's ready. You bet. What is the second strongest South Atlantic storm besides Katarina in your database? Says Shreya the Idiot. Oh, Idot. Sorry.
Ouch.
What did you do, Christian?
This is why when you register on
Nathan.
YouTube,
It's
you have to be
Nathan.
careful with the
Dude, you
names you
said L, bro.
use.
Sorry about that. Let's find.
Freaking Nathan's laughing his ass off.
This is going on the blooper reel.
It was a pretty.
Is it though? Is it though?
I think that's got to. It's a pretty bad moment there. We got a few other decent.
Speaking of
bloopers.
blooper reels, be on the lookout for the 2022 Force 13 blooper reels because there's gonna be
End of the year.
a
That's end of the
whole
year.
load of bloopers.
That's
Right.
end of
And
the
plus,
year.
Ethan's gonna be in it.
Oh yes. The second strongest South Atlantic storm I have in the database is a tie, actually, between whatever that name is, Ikai, or whatever, 2016, and an unnamed storm in early June 1997. Both 65 miles per hour. So thank you very much, and I apologise for calling you an idiot. A comment there, that was a rare occurrence that Nicole formed to the east of Florida. Would it be more frequently in the future of next? I think the question is, will it happen more in the future? Well, we were talking about Nicole when it happened, and it was isn't it only the second hurricane ever to make landfall on the Florida East Coast in November. So it was extremely rare. And hadn't been, and the last one was in 1935. So you could say it's a 1 in a 90-year occurrence, or we might just get another one next year and it was just bad luck. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But I would say not common, clearly. Just catching up with some of these comments here. What will we do with the still waiting for Hone t-shirts after Hone forms? Well, first of all, it's going to be a little while longer yet because Hone hasn't developed out of this low pressure system that at one point we had 30% chance on. It's now been completely removed from our charts, so we're still waiting for Hone. Who knows when that's probably it for the Hone chances for another year now, isn't it?
Well, actually, I think this was last night. Me and some other guys were on call. I think it was Ethan and Alex. There was actually a system that was to the northeast of the Hawaiian Islands, and Ethan classified it as a fully tropical system.
We know about that one, but it's not going to
No. It's not going to be named, I'm afraid.
Tyler says, and I don't know if this
also
is...
your background changed, Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? What the hell?
I don't know if this is a suggestion or not from Tyler, but they say an hour of Nelson's soundboard or an... Oh, no, sorry, it's a question. Would you rather have an hour of Nelson's soundboard or an hour of Guess the Storm with only images submitted by Kenneth?
I would do Guess the Storm. I would do Guess the Storm.
I think I'd go with Nelson's soundboard because it would just be hilarious.
Sample.
It would just be hilarious.
Never mind, I'll do Nelson's soundboard.
And that was the voice of David Tones. We were a bit too
Good
busy.
to be here.
A couple of weeks ago, we were too busy working and we couldn't throw David a birthday party. So I think we can sort of do that now for 10 minutes. Yay! We've got no balloons or ribbons or poppers or anything like that. But
Any
David, no cake either, I'm afraid. But happy birthday, David. How old are you now? Do you mind me asking?
Now, let's take a guess. The viewers can respond to that.
All right, let's see if the viewers can get David's new age.
No spoilers.
All I will say is we don't call you Grandpa David for nothing. From my understanding, you have had a very nice birthday, and we'll just leave it at that.
SI says 54.
Nice.
Jackie the Parrot says 35.
Nice.
You're too kind.
That's my prediction. My guess is nice.
Too kind. Cameron Thompson says
That's my guess.
120.
120.
120. If I
Anyway.
can reach 95, I will be happy.
Anyway, we have a few answers. Yep, David had a very funny birthday. He is 69 years old. Congratulations, David, for getting there.
Yeah, I forgot my sister's birthday.
Actually, my grandma actually died of 69 due to lung cancer, so I'm not going to take that funny.
Oh, that's I'm sorry.
Ouch.
I heard you laugh, Nathan, for a second.
No, I mean, we're just happy celebrating David's 69th birthday, but
oh my.
But viewers,
come
there's
on.
plenty in
Get that
history.
shit out of here.
all right then, let's move on. Christian, why are you now a demon?
Why not?
Because he is.
He's been sent to the bottom of the earth.
Some more comments here. Well, I'm just going to go back to some of the older ones first, and then we'll catch up a little bit.
Christian. Did you go down to the center of the earth?
Maybe. I went down to
the
core of the
earth.
And now he's back at the surface.
Some people asking
Yeah,
questions.
I visited Morna Lower.
Some people asking questions about other seasons. Are they coming out? I'm not going to mention any of them until I announce them here. So, all right. Let me just. I'll tell you what's coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow we have.
Don't spoil the viewers. Leave them with suspense.
They need to know what's coming though, otherwise they won't want to watch. Tomorrow, all right. I'll tell you about tomorrow. There are 2 animations that have 1 year in common, and that is 2018. So if you're a 2018 fan, then come on here tomorrow, and there's 2 animations about it. There you go.
Ooh.
And is 2016 Atlantic Hurricane Season version 2 coming out? Not to my knowledge. I mean, I haven't made one.
I think Ami was in charge of it, but she's been busy lately.
Hola says, give us content. I know, it's a little bit tough right now. We've just got our team and I, with no real structure for a few minutes here until we get up to our...
This is content. What more do they want?
And I'm just here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it sort of pales in comparison to the lovely 55 minutes that we had last hour of my top 100 stuff. Then again, Christian disappearing there was a little bit interesting.
What?
You disappeared when you sort of... It was like you died in a video game. You head went forward and you disappeared.
You will love the thing I have.
It's time.
Not like
eventually.
How else are you going to describe it? My microphone's not going to disappear.
Never mind, it did disappear.
I don't know.
Lucas Marble says, and for those who don't know,
God.
Lucas Marble and Lucas Gonzalez have a big feud. Lucas Marble says, the day Hone forms is the day me and Gonzalez officially make amends, even though I have no animosity towards him anymore, lol.
Why are you here?
And another comment, Christian's house is burning down.
It was, it's not anymore.
Do you think 2023 will be active? Already getting these questions now about next year.
Man, I've been running late. I don't want to interrupt this, but viewers, I posted this in the chat, and it.
What?
If you guys haven't known, I have a brand new aviation server.
Oh, he does.
That I told
sweet.
that I told the team about. Let me just get ready.
But
anyway, continue on, Nathan.
well,
I'll let you
I mean,
continue for a sec.
Surely the La Nina can't go on into 2023, can it? Please give us a strong El Nino and kill the Atlantic.
Yep, and hopefully it's not one of those like El Ninos that is like 2004.
Or the 2015 Pacific.
We need the Atlantic to be killed.
Like
at
it was
any cost.
category 4 after 4 after 4 after 4 after 4.
Well, I don't care if we get 100 storms in the Pacific. If the Atlantic's dead, then I'll be very pleased.
Knowing List 3, it probably has something up its sleeves. I won't be surprised.
All right, let's see what else we have
Copy.
today. question about tropical weather bulletins there. Have they ended today or yesterday? Well, because our Hurricane Week is conflicting with the bulletin hour every day, there won't be any bulletins this week. But tropical weather bulletins are continuing into the off season this year. So after Sunday, when we get into Monday night's tropical weather bulletin, we'll be there again, and that whole week onwards.
Yes. Yeah, So for those viewers that were crying about not having a TWB for the Southern Hemisphere, you've got your wish.
Yeah,
I just don't. I'm not sure if they're going to be daily in the off season.
We need to rejig the format a little bit to make it more interesting now.
Yeah.
If I have to see those sea surface temperatures for 10 minutes one more time, I'm going to strangle Tim.
Did you hear that, Tim?
I offered my neck up. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the Category 5 hands to just come around my neck and start squeezing.
You said I have Category 5 hands. That's a new one.
Well, how else are you going to be able to suffocate me?
That's a new
Right, time to invite the viewers into my new server and see what they think of it.
Sammy Emily says, what is the next time there could be a storm like Zeta of 2005?
Maybe whenever a storm.
That naming convention isn't used anymore.
D loves Nathan's hands. What the hell? And that was Josh from Australia. I mean, seriously, bro.
Say what?
Cyclone checking Oz posted in the chat. D loves Nathan's hands, and I think he deleted the message.
Right.
Yeah, I did. I saw it. I swear to God, I saw it.
All right. I'm just going to keep going here and show an animation shortly. What names do you think will get retired in 2022, guys? I know two of you mentioned it earlier.
It's definitely going to be Alex.
I would say Fiona and Ian probably have really good shots. Nicole might be a toss-up.
I don't think they'll retire
I
Nicole.
would say Hermine is unlikely, even though it sunk a boat.
What do we think about the Medicanes?
What do you mean? What Medicaid?
I don't know. It's just a question. What do we think about the Medicanes?
Yes.
Annoying.
Anyway.
The one that I marked M1 on a bulletin once, even though it was subtropical depression.
Ah.
What the hell? Cyclone checking out.
Speaking of Medicaid, I've heard people say because it's been appearing on the news, there's a tropical storm forming in the Mediterranean Sea.
Seriously, Cyclone checking Oz.
Oh, now what?
He literally said, "Bro, Lucas tripping balls."
Okay. Okay. Enough.
There is actually an interesting question, Nathan.
Honestly,
Tropical
Josh.
Storm, Alan Elbron asking if we remember Luis of 1995. I don't think anybody except maybe myself was tracking Luis during that time back in 95. That would have been my first full year of storm tracking. So I actually do remember Luis.
Not even David.
David was too busy on his radio station or whatever he was doing.
Emergency monitoring UHF and HFCB here in Australia.
You know, he's out there. He's straight in with it. He knew he probably knows what he was doing down to the day, hey?
Well, you've had 7 years for me, mate. So. But I love it.
All the way back in 1995.
Yeah. Right then, in a moment we will show the track of Cyclone Nargis. Who animated that? Do we know?
Ethan.
It was Ethan's. It's a shame we don't have Ethan with us tonight.
Yeah, Ethan is currently preoccupied, so we
That's
can't.
one way to put it.
And I will be occupied on Tuesday.
All right,
Wednesday,
guys.
Thursday, Friday.
Opening in
Not Tuesday.
3, 2, 1.
What?
What are you opening?
There's the link. My new aviation server.
Yeah, apparently he's launched an aviation server. And Cyclone Tracking
Lucas
says
Gonzalez's
Noru.
aviation hub is now officially open.
Yay.
Cyclone Trekking Odds, thank you for the 3.
The 3 Australian bucks. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, I didn't know it was Australian.
And did you see?
Yeah, it has an A. It
Yeah,
has an
but
A in
it's
front of it.
Australian, and he just says one word.
And speaking of
Norway.
Australia,
Norway.
we saw Tracy in that clip before.
Let's
What did we
see.
think
Let's
of
see if we
that?
get some people joining.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way.
Hey, Black Belt's here.
If
Oh
Dar-
yeah, no,
if
wait, hold
Darwin
on.
was a
Yes,
Oh,
I
dear.
know what you're gonna say. The commentator on that thing described it as a garbage dump the morning
Giant
after the storm hit, and Christian said in comments somewhere
It's
that
always been a
it's
rubbish dump.
always- We're
I
supposed
wonder
to
what
be
your father would think about that.
we're supposed to be making friends here, Christian. There might be
Christian?
people from Darwin watching.
And my wife was up in Darwin.
See, David's wife, she doesn't like you anymore.
You and I will have a private chat, young man.
Oh, you know what that means.
Oh no.
God. Holy.
All right, still to come tonight. We've got the track of Nargis in just a minute, and then we'll be doing a bit of chatter about the 2022 monthly summaries, in which we'll be covering December 21 and January 22, and I don't have any of it ready. So there's that. And then later on, if we get it in time, we'll hopefully be taking a look at the 1967 Atlantic hurricane season animation, and then we'll probably call it a night. But I'm going to press this button now, and hopefully it does the right thing, and it's the right video racked up. It should be Nargis. Oh, look at Christian's little grin. So fingers crossed it is. If it's not, I'll be pressing buttons quickly, and this should be the track of Cyclone Nargis. So there we go, that was a track of Nargis. I wasn't expecting the ad there to be on the end, but, well, there it is. That was really loud as well, that was ridiculous. Ethan will have to tone that down a bit. But that was the track of Nargis. It made us all very sad. It was an extremely big storm, and it is in our top 100, so we'll be seeing that at some point in the near future. Well then, back in the studio, we're still all here, and we'll be talking about the storms that happened in December last year into January this year shortly. But first of all, I would just like to, here we are again, someone who's been wanting to weigh in for a little while. Black Belt, you're also with us tonight. How are you today?
Hello, I am here. I was supposed to leave, but I can't because I would be driving into an outbreak.
No way. So what are you
and
doing?
I'm not dealing with that. Oh, I'm just doing something that everyone will love me after this weekend.
Why?
Oh God.
Because
I think I know why.
I mean, when it's you saying that kind of thing, that usually means that something really bad is about to happen, animation-wise.
Like the 2027.
Black Belt?
Yeah. I was
What's
checking
going
something.
on?
I would show it, but I'll just let you guys wait.
That does not make me feel any better at all.
I would have showed it. I would show it today, but I'll let you guys wait.
Alright guys, so in a minute we'll be looking at the 2022 Cyclone discussion part 1. Do people have any images of these storms racked up? No. So
No.
we'll see.
Oh yeah, one more thing.
Yes.
The one on Friday isn't a final version because I plan to add an ace counter because you will love why.
God.
So, okay, I'm a little bit worried now. Right, Christian, let's take a look at this list. Ethan kindly put together all of the storms that were active from December 21 to January 22 and a nice little picture of a storm behind it. Do you remember any of these systems, Christian?
I mean, I remember the one in pink.
Do you remember Tropical Storm Jawad?
No.
No.
Wood. No, all I know is that it was a thing in the Bay of Bengal, so no.
And I don't have any images of that, so let's move on. What on earth was Subtropical Storm Uber?
If you ask me, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I didn't even realize it existed myself.
Was that the South Atlantic?
I guess so, I really have no
I
idea.
think it was, because I remember that I think we had 2 South Atlantic systems.
Because, I mean, we had
Right.
Yucatan, and U was before Y in the alphabet, so...
Yeah.
Looks like it then, but I still don't remember that one bit. Sorry, everyone.
I remember a few of those in that list. I remember remember Jawad in the Indian Ocean. I do remember Rye. I do remember Rye, Seth, Tiffany, Anna, and Batsarai.
Yeah.
And Cody.
Yeah. I mean,
So I think I remember pretty much most of them.
Yeah, I remember Ruby, in the fact that someone who's not actually here right now, made a pretty big mess up.
What?
Who was that? Was that Ethan?
It was Walter.
What happened?
Typhoon!
Is it that one?
That's that one.
Yes, yeah.
That blooper.
I completely forgot about that.
Let's get some images from RAM on these systems in question then, since no one has any. I'm just checking my files as well, and I don't have images of these things either. We might be surprised by 1 or 2 things that come out of this. Oh, that's some furious typing right there. Let's, first of all, take a look.
I think that was Tim that did it.
Was it?
Was it?
Was it?
Oh, oh no, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I don't know if it was Black Belt, David, Seven or Nathan or Christian.
What? I just sent you a friend request.
What?
Who sent me a friend request?
Me.
Oh, there,
'Cause
oh,
I
there we
can't-
go.
Just getting this running,
Oh
guys.
no!
Don't
I
worry.
declined it by accident.
Yes.
I need a freaking
Here we
finger
go.
camera. I mean, you should have seen it. I was an absolute pillock and just decided to decline it.
This is Tropical Storm Jawad, and look how large it was at the beginning of its life. Formed on December the 3rd in 2021.
They're
so
nice,
that
someone to you, Black Belt.
like right at the end, would have been right at the end of Force 13 week, and there it was. Looks like it was dealing with quite a lot of shear throughout its whole life there. Gradually moved northwards, peeling along the coast of India there, and shear really getting the better of it for most of its life there. Convection struggling, but it did make a good
Ooh,
run actually.
It really tried after its first lot died out. Then
Up the coast of
You're looking at that.
Orisha, but look at this here. By that point, oh, my mouse is there. Excellent. You can see the center of circulation is still around there, and it's been completely displaced from the
Then it
convection.
just tries, and then it tries blowing up another bit.
And there it is. It's gone completely by that point. So, an interesting storm. When you look at that strength, Christian, what do you think?
Well, considering it's green on the graphic, but I'm not sure what the database analysis is. From what I heard, it might be Category 1, but I have no idea. So I'm guessing probably low-end Category 1, high-end Tropical Storm.
Nowhere near, Christian. It peaked with winds of
Nowhere
40
near?
miles an hour.
Oh, okay. So the graphic being in green is correct then. Good to know. There was some internal discussion earlier, like, oh, the colors are slightly off. But
No, green's correct. 40 miles an hour.
not just with Jawad, but the whole list.
I'm just talking about Jawad.
You're just talking about Jawad. Yeah, in that case, the color's correct.
40 miles
But how
an
would
hour.
I know? This was 11, 12 months ago.
Yeah, well, you should know. Everyone expects you to. Looking at that imagery, though, I would suggest maybe a little bit stronger. It was pushing quite well. Maybe 50 miles an hour at a push.
Yeah, well, I'm not an expert. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't think there's any imagery of Uber. So let's see if we can look at
Let's
Ruby.
Move on. See if we can move on to Typhoon Ruby.
Typhoon Ruby. Ruby was, if I remember rightly, an annoying storm.
It was very annoying.
That right? What did it do?
Mm.
Do you know what it did?
Formed off
it
the
definitely
coast
was
of
a South
Queensland,
Pacific storm.
moved southeast. Hence why I got the Australian name of Ruby.
At this point, this is just a good test of everyone's memory.
Yeah, like I said, it
There it
moved
is.
southeast towards, I think, Fiji, but don't quote me on that. Became Category 1 because I definitely remember that because Walter messed up. Honestly, but it's funny. It's funny. But yeah, that's what happened. Obviously, it ended up being a Category 1,
Looking
moving
good
to
there.
the southeast,
That's a category
and
1.
then it died.
Still bursting
Of
up,
course it died.
but struggling a bit by that point. But definitely on that earlier frame there, round about this point, that looks like a brief category 1 peak to me. What happened later? Blew up again near New Caledonia, a lot of rain underneath there clearly. And then continued down there across New Caledonia, and then
Struggled
getting
and then died.
ripped apart into that frontal system. David, your thoughts on Ruby?
It was an interesting system, but I think it ended up dying down in what we called the graveyard for cyclones, just to the south of Vanuatu. But there's plenty of history where systems have formed in the, let's say, the Coral Sea track south, and it just completely died. Some have moved down to New South Wales, not New South Wales, down into the Tasman Sea, subtropical. But
Now, Christian, how strong do you think it was then? JTWC.
JCW. Oh, now you're putting me on the spot again. Come on, man. Well, obviously, we established it reached Category 1 status, so it's got to be somewhere in the ballpark, 70, 80, 85, or 75 rather, 80, 85. But so that's my guess.
Yeah, 80 miles an hour. I mean, you're right, but that's because you said every single one. But yeah. Tim there having a little giggle.
Yes, he's very right.
Let's take a short break there and take a couple of questions. Do we predict Cyclone season this year will be stronger than last year? I mean, there wasn't really that much to Cyclone season last year, was there, David?
No, it was below expectations, but the Bureau was saying above average number of cyclones, and they gave for 4 crosses on the Queensland coast. The current scene is showing a load likely to come on the radar up in the Gulf of Carpentaria, back southeast, but closer to home, we might see one developing probably on the surface trough off Mackay, the southern region of the Great Barrier Reef. But I'm looking at one that could track down along the coast, the GFS side of the Queensland coast. I think December the 6th. And but the rainfall factor, we're day 3 viewers of a 7-day weather event. And Nathan, I think the La Nina will go into January next year.
Probably. Christian, your display's broken.
Is it? Oh, is it? Oh, crap. Why? How did that happen?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's try that again then.
And I can't remember what was on the screen. Oh, there it is.
After Ruby was Rye.
Yeah, next up is Super Typhoon Rai. Now, that was a storm that everyone, I'm pretty sure, remembers. I remember it particularly.
I definitely remember.
I remember it very well.
I remember that one very well because I actually ran a live stream covering Rye.
Wow. And we did cover it extensively.
Didn't know you did.
And I remember it quite well because my partner's family, who's in the Philippines, were in that storm as well. And buildings in the city of Cebu, the city itself, were damaged by the storm too.
Mm.
And I'm trying to get the imagery, and now that stopped working as well. Yeah. Although I probably saved some in my personal collection. Let's see what personal collection images I have of Rai. Not much, actually. That's disappointing. Yeah, so nothing. That's
Let me see
right.
if I can pull up the Rye image.
That is indeed right.
Christian.
I'm sorry.
That was very poor.
Good.
Let's take some questions. How large was Rai? Good question.
Very.
It was decently large.
And SI says, what are our thoughts of on the JTWC making Rai 175? We'll take a look at that on the imagery shortly. If we ever get
the one thing that I remember of Rai is obviously during our landfall coverage of it. Obviously, I'd just woken up from going to bed. For some reason, I woke up at 5 a.m. Who knows why? But I remember when I was going to bed, it was like Category 2-ish. And then when I wake up, it's suddenly a Category 5. I'm like, where on earth did that come from? And it's just prior to making landfall as well.
Wasn't that the event where we were up really early in the morning here to cover it? Is that right?
I don't know. I just remember going to bed. It was Category like 2-ish.
Was it?
And then someone did a landfall stream, and I think it was you, Nathan.
Yeah, didn't we do coverage from 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. here?
I don't know. All I remember is I woke up. Yeah.
Here's the imagery.
All I remember is I woke up at 5.
something that's really notable about Rye during its whole life, pretty much, is the extremely high cloud tops that it exhibited. Look at that. Into
Yeah.
some whites there. That's minus 90 degrees and quite a lot of it. And then look at how it blew up. My goodness. So first, that's not an eye there. That's just loads of convection bursting up. And
I also remember when you guys were doing live coverage on Rye. I was actually at a restaurant with my parents while right after you guys started streaming, and
there's the eye.
Yeah, I definitely remember.
And look at that strengthening. I mean, it's not weak. That's a strong storm right there.
110% strong.
It's a strong storm right there, but does it last very long?
Where the heck's its eye?
In that appear. Oh, how
Oh
can you
my
miss
God.
it?
Well, I mean, I can see it, but it's like very, very small.
It is a small eye, yeah. And its appearance just doesn't hold for very long, and that's why I can't give it 175 miles per hour.
No.
On raw imagery, in these images here, that's 175, maybe even 180, but it just doesn't hold for very long at all. That's just a few frames.
I don't believe that at all. It does not look 175, 180 to me, personally.
And yeah, I think we got onto the live event at about 3 in the morning, because this is the 3 a.m. image. And that continues. It makes that first landfall there on that small island, 5 a.m. Second landfall on Siargao Island, I think, just before 7 a.m.
Siargao Island.
And reaching southern Leyte there at 9 to 10 a.m. And the eye collapses. And then it continues through to Cebu and then onwards. And it's still there. And look at it on the other side. Really impressive second peak there. Which
And
I think
was it Cat 5 or 4?
I think some people gave that Cat 5 at second peak as well.
No, I remember, because I made the animation for Rye after taking from San Diego Sam, because he had issues with his template. So what was that? Yeah. So like I said, I made the animation for it. It did peak as a category 5 just prior to landfall, but when it made landfall, according to the animation, because I know this because I had Kay go over the animation with me and make sure that everything was perfect. And no, she declared it was a category 4 landfall, and it had like so many landfalls within a short span of time. And then eventually, like as it crossed through the Philippines, it was a category
3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6, 7 landfalls.
Yeah, funny you mention all those numbers right after I mentioned the word category. But like I said, as it crossed the Philippines, as it emerged back out of water, it was a category 2 as far as I remember. And then it started to re-intensify, which was bizarre. Obviously, I'm not sure. I forget what it re-intensified to, but like I said, it was crazy. And let me tell you,
Indeed it was.
that animation took several hours to render on my poor laptop.
Oh dear.
Wow, I didn't know it took that long for you to animate on that laptop. I thought it was on like your actual computer.
My laptop is my actual computer.
Oh, I didn't know it was.
Yeah, it's decently spec. It's an i7, so it's fine, but it just took ages.
A question there: why do typhoons always seem to have higher cloud tops than hurricanes? Well, this one was of a lower latitude, and I reckon the Western Pacific low latitudes give it a real big ton of energy. Very high oceanic heat content. It's the case every year. So I would say that's the main things that did it.
Rye was pretty.
Evan says, "What's our analysis on Alan in 1980?" Well, it's in the top 100, so you'll see it at some point this week, and you'll find out.
I did see it in the pre-intro though.
In the intro,
no, the pre-show though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So that's Rye. What's next on Christian's list? Tropical Depression 29W. Who on earth remembers that?
I think I remember that
I
one.
do not.
You do?
When was that? 21 or 20?
It's probably 21.
It was evidently 21. It wouldn't have been in 20.
Not in 22 either, because that's when the numbers reset to 0.
Yeah, it formed in the later part of December, and it was actually a quite rare tropical depression that made landfall on the Malay Peninsula. Here's some satellite imagery. There it is, forming just off the coast of Malaysia, and it literally made landfall just as soon as it was designated. At this point here, first image, it's around there, and then it moves right inland. At this point, I think it's already somewhere over there. Then off it goes, blown up a little bit more, and then it's gone. So that's it really from Tropical Depression 29. Anyone have any comments on that before we move on?
No, it was just a tropical. Moving on.
The next storm is Cyclone Seth. Now, which
that
one
was
that?
I think that was this year, I think. If I remember correctly.
Seth was like the very beginning of 22, and it was a surprise, really.
Well, I'm just racking up all of the images of all these 5 storms that are coming up, so we don't get any stoppages in a minute.
Although, like I said, there is one storm that I think Ethan forgot to include in this list. Teratai.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Steph lasted for just over 24 hours in the Coral Sea, but its entire track lasted 15 days.
Where did it go?
Significant impacts were severe flooding in southeast Queensland, hazardous surf along the southern Queensland, northern New South Wales coast. The low was responsible for the onset of the monsoon over Darwin and the top end. It formed north of the Northern Territory in the Eastern Timor Sea on the 23rd of December.
Wow.
And moved south, passing just to the rest of the Tiwi Islands on Christmas Day before crossing the coast near Dundee Beach, southwest of Darwin, early on the 26th.
So it was way out over there, and it only actually developed on the 31st.
Yes, and it moved into the Coral Sea December the 30th. It intensity is estimated on the morning of 31st December as a Category 2.
I mean, look at this. It looked good at first. There's 1 p.m. UTC on the 31st, and then it just dies off. As soon as it gets named, it's gone. And there's the remnants. I remember that, actually. The remnants were tracking quite close to Sydney. I think at one point they were going to go through Sydney, but it ended up changing its mind and went north again, and it died off near you, David.
And it became a subtropical system, but still produced gales.
Did it?
Until later, on the 3rd of January, a strong circulation continued on the following days as it moved slowly to the northwest and west, crossing the southern Queensland coast on January the 7th near Harvey Bay.
Oh, so it did actually go left after that. There you go. That's Seth.
But the rainfall was phenomenal. 400 millimetres, 674 millimetres, Mount Callaghan, Gympie, 650, Milva, 572, Glenwood, 522.
Blimey, David's on a roll.
Yeah, looking at the Bureau's report.
Here's the next storm. Yep. The next storm, Cody. Christian, do you remember that one?
No.
It formed next to Fiji. There it is. And really blew up there. Massive. Where'd all that come from? That was a massive change there, interacting with that wide dome. And there it is there. Really blew up for a time. And then...
It,
Really blew up for a time, and then... 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 Really blew up for it started to become a cyclone on its own there as well. And quite an impressive
I mean,
looking one. I mean, look at that there. That could well be Category 1 hurricane.
Well, I mean, one thing I do remember about Cody, it was near to Tonga when Tonga erupted.
Oh, it was...
Yeah, I remember that.
It was dead by
5th
then,
of
I
January.
think. I think it had just died. Oh, wait, hold on. You can see it. There's Tonga at the top right there, happening in these frames as Cody's dying off. Yeah, and then the floating.
It killed one person.
Oh, just about. Wow, look at that.
It killed one person. Over 4,500 people were evacuated. And on January the 10th, it was upgraded to Category 1 by Fiji. And it had a peak intensity of 130 kilometres an hour. The Joint Typhoon Warning Centre only recorded a peak intensity of 95 kilometres an hour.
So, Christian, Cody, hurricane status or not?
Why are you asking me?
Question and answers.
You're the expert.
I told you you're under the spotlight.
I say tropical storm.
Tim, what do you think looking at this image?
I would say that's probably just good enough for minimum hurricane intensity for sure.
And David?
I'll go with Tim. Sorry, I really
Now,
wasn't looking. I was looking.
JTWC only put it at 60 miles per hour, which I find
Yes.
fascinating. And if I remember rightly, I think my own personal analysis had it at 70 miles per hour, and I think that was to do with ASCAT readouts or something along those lines. So it may not have been all that it seems, but it certainly looked the part.
And Nathan, the Fiji Met gave it a peak of 10 minutes sustained winds, 130 kilometres an hour,
Yeah.
and 80 miles per hour.
Very impressive. Let's see what any other comments we've just seen here. What's our analysis on Hurricane Matthew? That depends on who you ask. And I think it's so convoluted these days. Some people think it's 5, some people think 4. Maybe we'll do a poll on that at some point, but I'm still in the 5 camp. Duokara says sets a cat 1. I have it at TS strength. Yeah, you put Seth as category 1 there. Was it? Which one's Seth now? Seth's the one... No. It can't have been.
Well, like, Ethan made the graphic, not me.
I don't know. A comment there. I remember you did a satellite tracking of these southern hemisphere storms. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. And what's our analysis on the 1944 Great Atlantic Hurricane? Gee, which one is that now? Was that on the East Coast or was that in the Gulf? I can't... It's East Coast, I think it was. And I can't remember, but usually in the Herdat era, at least after 1900, we tend to stick with the official numbers. Are we going to be in the path of totality for the 2024 solar eclipse? I won't be.
Yes.
I probably will be because I will go up to my hometown to catch it. So we will hopefully get some live shots for that when it happens.
What's Lucas showing us? Oh, Lucas is actually flying.
Just doing a little short flight from Hobby to Dallas Love Field on Southwest.
In the meanwhile, I forgot to turn off.
Ethan, if you're watching this flight's for you, buddy. Because I know you like Southwest.
All right, we got 3 more storms or 4 more storms to get through. Although we don't have... Oh, yes. We'd better start here. We'd better go to Teratai because we've missed it, haven't we? Because it wasn't on East.
Teratai?
Yes, who remembers Teretai, which happened in early December 2021? There it is. Ethan might
I
not.
actually don't remember.
Ethan
I
might
don't
not have
remember
included
Teretai.
it because it would have been before the end of Force 13 week. But look at that. A real struggling system. Reminds me of the one that we just had, that depression that we had last week. And then there it is again. It's back. That's crazy. Not much to say about it, but it was weak, but it kept going, and it was all over the place off the coast of Indonesia.
Oh, there it goes.
The next one is Tiffany. Here it is.
I think I remember Tiffany.
And look at that. It strengthened really quickly before it made landfall in Australia. With an I, and then it collapsed just as quickly as it moved over the Cape York Peninsula. Small system, though got quite a bit larger in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Look at those convective tops. That's an absolute bomb.
Oh, wow.
What was
And
Tiffany's
that
peak?
there
Because I don't.
too. Look at that. Huge amounts
wow.
of convection that were just blowing along there. So much energy.
And we know what happens in the Gulf, don't we, Tim?
Massive cloud tops, and then it died off completely
We
there.
do not mention the GFC.
The what?
What?
Massive. And how strong was that one again? On JTWC, they gave it 65 knots there early on. Yeah, at its first peak. And I think that's fair, although I think it maybe could have been slightly higher than that. Looks like it was really rapidly intensifying, a small system, as it was making landfall there in northern Queensland. David, your thoughts on old Tiff?
Another system that had me interested, but
it's cloud tops. Yeah, our thoughts entirely.
yeah. So I got my eyes on a few things here in the background. Storm
Right.
activity, the
All right, next.
Gulf of Carpentaria.
Next is Anna in the Indian Ocean, forming here a very broad system just off Madagascar in the Mozambique Channel, and there it is, slowly moving southwestwards into Mozambique.
Something I remember about Anna is that Christian actually did some video updates on this storm, and he actually showed me.
What did you do now?
You'll see it at the end of the year.
Oh no.
He had some bloopers from when he was trying to do a video update of Anna.
You didn't, Christian.
Yes, and I think I think what I showed you is that I combined them all into one video, and it just sounded really weird.
You can't do that.
How many days did you have on that?
I think it took me 9 attempts.
Oh, 9.
Damn.
So it continued inland there. Quite an impressive storm. Wrapped up quite quickly, if barely anything. That must be maybe 50, 60 miles per hour. Moved inland and continued across interior Africa.
He looks pretty decent on satellite, even though it was at tropical storm intensity.
60 miles an hour there from the JTWC, so pretty much in agreement there. Just from visual, you can tell it's not a weak TS, it's a stronger one there. And had a decent inner core.
Well, decently strong.
Long after landfall. 60 miles an hour.
And the thing is, though, that was the first named storm of the Southwest Indian of that season.
Yes, it was nearly record breaking.
Yeah, it was 7S, and just to think, now we're up to 4S already, and this was theoretically before the time Anna had formed last year. If that makes any sense at all.
It was near the end of January. It first formed on the 23rd, 24th of January. The latest nameable storm naming since
that was,
I think it was 1941 or something like that, a long time ago. Yeah, it was 1941.
That was the record latest start of that season.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we're already up to 4S and we're already up to the B name for this season.
And finally, it's this thing here. Christian, what can you tell us about Cyclone Batsarai?
Oh yes,
Batsarai was
Batsarai.
quite. It was quite interesting.
Oh my god!
Obviously,
Look how quickly it developed at first.
It first formed, and then it like developed really quickly, and then died,
Out of nothing.
and then redeveloped again.
That's
Probably because of the
crazy.
center relocation.
How small that thing was and how quickly it developed.
It was really, yeah, it developed really quickly, and then like I said, it died, and then it redeveloped again to even stronger before landfall.
It looked amazing at its peak.
What,
Kind
first
of
or
made
second?
me. The structure kind of made me think of Cyclone Yasi in the Australian region.
And that was on our top 100 a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, yeah, I see.
There's Batsarai there, intensifying as it gets closer to...
And just addressing the chat real quick, it was a category 4.
Oh, and in the first days of February, I was on vacation, and that's why everyone thinks it got to category 5, because we always get category 5s on vacation. But looking at that there, well, it's not a cat 5 there, but that imagery is impressive.
And plus, I think Thomas was around by the time Batsarai was going on, because I think, I remember Thomas did coverage while you were on vacation, Nathan.
I'm just checking these images, and I think it does have a case for category 5 status there. I'm not sure it quite gets it, but I would say it's quite close. I'll have to do more analyzing on that. Certainly spinning quickly when you look at that. I think it does have a case there when you look at the images.
It's very photogenic, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
There it is, opening out. Mesmerizing, actually. Look at that. And there's its new eye. No, it's still fighting with another eye, and it just kept fighting and fighting. And then it gets a little bit more ragged, continuing towards Madagascar at a snail's pace.
Oh yeah, I remember waiting for landfall for this thing. It took quite a long time.
Man.
And then it made landfall. What intensity did it make landfall at? Because I forget. It's like category...
I don't know.
It was Cat 1. I remember. It was
1,
Cat 1.
Was it?
It was 1. Yeah, it was 1.
Oh, good. Okay.
What a scene.
And then it just fizzled out.
Tim, what do you think of Batsarai?
Batsarai was actually a pretty interesting storm, Nathan. As you said, you were on vacation, and it did threaten the Masserine Islands. It got very close to Mauritius and Rodrigues, and we ended up tossing live stream duties around amongst the team. I know Thomas did a couple of them right when it was right near Mauritius. I took the one night where it was halfway between the Masserines and Madagascar when their government was getting all of their alerts up. And Batsarai definitely one of the more memorable storms of the Southwest Indian Ocean for the year.
Certainly was.
Who made the animation for the storm?
No idea. Probably the most memorable storm of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least there were a couple in the Atlantic that were memorable.
I mean, in the Southwest Indian.
Yeah, I know, but still, around the world, there were still.
Again, it's probably a close contender between Batsarai and Emnati for most memorable of the basin for that season.
Yeah, don't forget Emnati too.
We'll talk about Emnati in a different night.
Yeah.
I imagine that's going to be tomorrow. Apparently, Batsarai's animation was made by Median Egg.
Alright.
Hello,
Median.
Median Egg.
Hello, Tim's cat.
If you're there, then please give yourself a pat on the back.
Give yourself a pat on the back, Median.
You did a good job on
In Tim's house, something is lurking.
Yes, we have a cat. Oh
Wait.
no.
What is lurking?
Trying to keep her off the air, but she's a pest. But yeah.
All right, let's get
We
some
have a cat.
more comments and questions here.
Is it gassed in the? Is it gassed in the cat?
In a few
No.
minutes, we'll be showing the 1967 Atlantic Hurricane season, and then we'll be calling it a night. I know. Initially, we were supposed to be airing the Force 13 remix collection tonight, but we've postponed it to Thursday instead because some of the other stuff has fallen through. So we've scheduled it for Thursday, and I've not finished it either yet. So it's coming though. And it's going to be loads of fun. Basically, we're taking a look at all of the people, such as Seven, who's still here with us, who have remixed Force 13 music and made their own little spin on it. And we want to showcase the best of those. So if you have made a remix out there in YouTube land, or know someone who has, that we haven't yet contacted, please let us know. We'd love to feature them as well. Evan Lopez says, what was the strongest unnamed storm? I mean, I guess you could include all the hurricanes from prior to 1950 or whenever. Labor Day. It's one of the strongest storms without a name. But if you mean in the naming period where things weren't named, then we're probably talking about low-end hurricanes from the 70s or 60s that were missed. How strong do you think Grace of 2021 would have been if Mexico wasn't there? I mean, you could say that about any storm, really, couldn't you? I'm pretty sure
someone.
got right.
So someone out here just wants to outright delete Mexico. Got it.
Sure. What storms do you think will be retired in the Atlantic and Pacific, if any, this year? We had a few comments about that earlier, and we were talking about Fiona and Ian. What about East Pac, guys? Do you think there'll be any retirees in the East Pac?
I think there might be a few.
Hosea,
I think Agatha. Wonder if Agatha will be retired.
Hosea Sylvester says, why did you, Christian and team and whoever, decide to go with Cat 5 status for Jose? What a silly decision, hey?
Well,
if you ask me.
Yes, I made that animation. Yes, I did. All I did was follow instructions. Okay, it's not my decision. It was the analyst teams, of which I'm not part of.
Oh, Christian's so defensive. I mean, I don't take it too seriously, but I think it is a ridiculous
it's
analysis.
just a video, and it's only a 5 mile an hour difference anyway. What's the difference aside from the catcher
behavior? Actually, I take that back.
Exactly.
I am taking this very serious. We need Christian's head on a stick.
Christian, did you hear that?
Yes.
You know what? We might need your head on a stick as well. You kept Iota as a category 5.
Yeah.
It's been reanalyzed for category 4.
Well, it shouldn't have
It's
been.
the same thing, but the other way round.
Well, not really.
Oh god, now I'm getting DMs.
You're getting You're getting hate mail.
I mean, why the frick are you getting DMs at the worst freaking possible time? Like, they're freaking DMs, man.
War has begun. War has been declared.
Thank you, Median.
Median
That's
Egg.
why I'm-
This message is held. YouTube has held it for review. I'll tell you what it said though. Hashtag ban Christian.
Yes.
One of the mods approved it.
It got
Man,
approved.
screw you,
yeah.
screw you.
Do you think the 1991 Angola cyclone was tropical? Yes, I think it did. I think it was.
Oh god, black belt what?
What's Black Belt done?
He's DM'd me as well. An image of a stick.
Oh.
So
Get your head on a stick, Christian.
also, Median Egg, get on here, talk about the Batsarai animation.
Well, I mean, they may not have much to say about it.
What if they do?
Well, I mean, I guess they can come along. Right, so who's ready for the next animation.
What is it?
The 1967 Atlantic hurricane season from SD Slayer.
Ooh.
Now, it was sent to me at the last minute, so it's not full quality. But don't worry,
Oh, there we go.
full quality will be arriving on our YouTube channel soon, I assume. They'll be published independently, I'm sure. So we've got a...
It might go up. I'll ask Army.
Yeah, so it is going to be slightly potato quality, but hopefully it still looks good. I think it's still in 720p. So are we ready to go with it?
Yeah, I think we are.
All right. Fingers crossed again that I don't make a big balls up with the video selector. And I just got to say, because I can't trust it ever. Isn't that right, Tim?
Tim?
That's right, Tim. He's on mute. Can't trust
Tim,
it ever.
are you going to answer? Are you going to answer?
I mean, once upon a time, a cat started a US stream on Tim's computer.
Yeah.
Gas in the cat, I think.
Yeah.
still
Also,
muted,
once upon a
Tim.
time, Ethan. Yep, you're still muted.
Tim's
And
muted.
before the cat turned on the camera, we just see a cat on the US stream.
Yes,
No, it is not the same cat that's laying here on my studio desk. Different cat did that.
And earlier on...
Also, once upon a time, Ethan's mum also started a US live stream. Whilst they were already live.
Really?
Yeah.
A few days ago, our dog almost sent a message to, I think, Ethan or a group of people with Ethan in it. So that was interesting.
Was it the group that I'm in?
It might have been.
Oh dear. Oh no.
All right, let's
Your dog.
Let's hit and hope and see if we get this animation. 1967 Atlantic.
Oh, hang on a moment.
Already on that.
All right, so there we are. That was the 1967 Atlantic hurricane season. Looks like it was a good quality animation. Christian, you were well pleased.
I was, absolutely.
Interesting season. Tons of unnamed systems, lots of depressions, and tricky reanalysis topics there. Yeah.
Yep. plus he's getting tired because he told me during the animation that he's gonna go to bed.
Christian's getting tired.
I told everyone.
So we'll probably put that down as a separate video, and we will probably finish up here shortly as well, because I mean we've pretty much finished out all of the content that we're going to show today, although we were planning to have more. But let me tell you what's coming up throughout the rest of this week.
Oh, there it is.
We have got tomorrow, of course we're going through the next 20 in my top 100, 80 to 61. We have got 2 2018 themed animations tomorrow. So if you like that, then make sure you watch us tomorrow. We're starting at 10 p.m. UTC, which is 5 p.m. Eastern is when we're starting tomorrow night. We've got the Super Cyclone Challenge. We've got Eye of the Storm. We've got a little section tomorrow talking about new cyclone discoveries that we've made in the last year. So I'll be getting my big, thick history books out, and we'll be talking about new discoveries that mainly I've made in the last year. And we'll probably show some a few little miscellaneous bits and pieces from Force 13, like we did in the pre-show, of some things that people may not have seen before, maybe. Then on November 30th, I think people are going to be really excited on that day, because there is a very well anticipated animation coming up on the 30th. We've got the next 20 list of storms, 60 to 41. More Super Cyclone Challenge. The end of Atlantic hurricane season party on. Yes.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yep. We've also got some more interesting animation. In fact, there's 3 really exciting animations on Wednesday, if I'm still correct. Is that right, Black Belt?
Yes, literally. I wonder if my mic is picking this up of me warming my hands like this.
Yeah, there's 3 different animations. Yes. They're not all from Black Belt, but they're 3 very exciting animations on November 30th. So please be here then. Thursday, we've got more stuff like that. And also on Thursday night, there's going to be a big argument. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep, big argument, because we'll be talking about 2022, the big calls and debate analysis, along with our monthly summaries. And on Friday, we're doing some more interesting ones, more Super Cyclone Challenge, more everything. And Guess the Storm, of course. Guess the Storm. And then on Saturday, loads more fun there as well, including the Force 13 Awards. Back again this season, this year. I didn't get any trophies. They're just going to be given verbal trophies. And late on Saturday night, right at the very end of our main Hurricane Week festivities, be prepared for something really, I mean, it's going to go out with an absolute bang on Saturday night. You've got to be there. You've got to be there.
I know what it is.
I'll try to be there.
Christian will be taking a fall for it, I think.
I'm sorry, what?
Christian never gets my little subliminal messages.
I don't even know what we're doing on Saturday.
Never mind. And then on Sunday, of course, it's Force for Good, and we really want everyone to turn out on Sunday, because we've got all of our charity stuff, and we're playing loads of fun games and just exciting, fun stuff, and just chill out and hopefully make a lot of money for charity for the hurricane relief, with direct relief for the hurricane impacts in the United States and Canada from Ian, Fiona, and Nicole. Wow. Well, everyone looks like they're excited for all of that. In the meantime, I think we'll finish up here, but let me just get a few more comments, and I've not got any special ending features or music or anything. I've just got my usual, that one. Yeah. So, would Huron become tropical if Michigan got deleted? Probably would. Landon says history for Mr. Foy, written by Nathan Foy, illustrated by the Air. That sounds about right.
Oh God.
1, 3.
Will there be
Yeah,
will there be a CHP 6 animation this week?
Black belt.
I
Don't
have
say
rendered
it.
a bunch, but they're not final. And besides, I probably won't be able to be on my computer.
What?
Oh, I freaking love my microphone. I need to get a new Blue Yeti mic. That thing, if I move this mic slightly, it'll turn off.
Oh dear. Another comment there. 2005 version 6. No.
Yes.
God.
Not for another 5 years
You
at
guys
least.
mad? I mean, how can we improve that one?
I'm not mad.
Come on. Just impossible. Well then, we're going to go away now. We'll see you again tomorrow. We hope you had a real fun time during this Hurricane Week, and we'll be uploading a bunch of those features separately in the coming days. I don't know how long that'll take. But from here at Force 13 HQ, good night, and you'll get to watch me and Christian yabber to each other silently whilst we think we're off the air. Good night.
I'll be in the public server.
Yeah, I've shameless little plug because I know we're getting ready to go off the air on the main channel. Before Hurricane Week Day 2 tomorrow, if you guys want to keep an eye on the severe weather event, we will be starting early over on 413. Yes, probably looking at maybe a 10 or 11 a.m. kickoff. So if you want tornado action before you get your daily dose of hurricane action, 413 US is the place to be.